Good morning and welcome to Championship Sunday, day 4 of the 2021 U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta from Nathan Benderson Park in Sarasota, Florida. My name is David Wyant. I am joined by my broadcast partner, Colleen Seville, and we're going to bring you all of these A and B finals this morning here at day 4 of the U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta. And you can see, Colleen, our first picture is the men's youth single, the 6-boat A final. All morning long, we are going to be crowning national champions in each of the boat class categories. As you see our overhead shot of that start platform. And what do you expect to see today, Colleen? I mean, what I'm looking at right now, what you're seeing at home is just beautiful, glassy, flat water that we've had all weekend long here at Nathan Benderson Park. Perfect conditions for this Youth National Regatta and for these national championship races this morning.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. We can expect really nice racing, wonderful conditions. This is a look then at the field of the men's youth single. And I think, David, we can expect an exciting race to kick us off this morning. It's Matthew Lexa of Lower Merion out of lane 1, Philip Seeger from Holy Spirit out of lane 2, Matthew Weiler, Redwood Scullers with the fastest times from earlier in the weekend out of lane 3, lane 4, Tristan Wakefield from Y Quad Cities, lane 5, Andrew Furlow from Gainesville area, and lane 6, Isaiah Harrison, unaffiliated USA, and of course, David, Isaiah Harrison, lots of erg records in several different age categories to his name. So big erg, great to see him in the men's youth single, and we'll see how this race shapes up. It'll be an exciting one, no doubt.
Should be 6 boats across. This is for a trophy and medals, and for the top 6 places in the nation in this men's youth single category. And really, these championships 2 years in the making. Colleen, unfortunately, you had a class of high school athletes, youth athletes that may have not been able to race at these championships for their senior year last year. So there's going to be a lot of excitement today. We are back, we are racing, and we're trying to put in the rear view everything that everyone has gone through over the last 2 years, but specifically we're watching youth racing and youth rowing, and all of these programs have different stories in terms of what they've gone through, what they've had to deal with, restrictions, how few times they've been on the water, and it's just great to see teams from every single time zone and so many states all over the nation here in Sarasota to compete at this 2021 U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta. So as we get ready to kick off our morning, again, it's the men's youth single that will kick us off. And they are trying to find alignment down there, and then we'll get going.
Yeah, so you can see they're just sitting and kind of tapping their blades to get that point, looking for the straightest line, of course. But their blades look to be pretty close to sitting ready at the catch, which tells us that we'll have a start underway. And in fact, now we see them square up the blades, bury them underneath the water. So any moment now to kick off the men's youth single A final. 6 boats across, and of course a race for medals. So great depth in this category, lots and lots of entries. The time trial format, of course, allows for all of those entries and all of these athletes to compete. So wonderful to see, all of these youth athletes here this weekend. And as you said, after a couple of years, so exciting, I'm sure, for them to be here as always, but especially coming out of COVID, the chance to race side by side after so much individual training, I'm sure is just a thrill for these guys.
Yeah, and the single may be the one boat class that might not have been quite as affected by the pandemic as others, given that the restrictions may have been that the team boats really are the ones that didn't get to race as much. But here we go. We're kicking off Championship Sunday here at Nathan Benderson Park with the men's youth single, and we'll see the different race plans early in this race as they try to take the boats from dead stop to as fast as possible. And all the way on the left side of the screen, that is the aforementioned Isaiah Harrison with a little bit of a lead early. Also going with him looks like Philip Seeger of Holy Spirit High School in New Jersey on the right side in that gold boat. As we talked about, Isaiah Harrison holding the under 17 world record on the 2,000 meter erg. I think it's 5:53, and he's out here trying to win a gold medal in the men's youth single, trying to translate that speed to the water, and he's decided he wants to get the lead early.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, look at him go out of lane 6. So definitely his race strategy to be quick off the blocks. Yes, lots of records on the ergometer. He spends time in the single. He's a swimmer as well, so just a really well-rounded athlete, and great to see him have that good start. We'll keep an eye then looking across the field, though, at Philip Seeger and Matthew Weiler as well. Again, we know that Matthew Weiler posted a fast time earlier in the weekend, so I think we can expect good things from him too. Andrew Furlow doing everything he can out of lane 5 to really keep connected to Isaiah Harrison, and Andrew Furlow just about a half a length or so behind Matthew Weiler, Philip Seeger, really all of these crews connected as we move through the first quarter.
Yeah, as they come to that sign, that will be the 500-meter point in our 2,000-meter race course. It's 2,000 meters down the track here at Nathan Benderson Park. And as they come through, we'll see our first of the split times that you're going to see on the graphic. That is Isaiah Harrison in lane 6. He is leading. He's got open water of about a length of open. And then you see Matthew Willer of Redwood Scullers just ahead, 0.3 of a second ahead of Gainesville area rowing's Andrew Furlow from up the road in Gainesville, Florida, as they all sort of filter through. And you see Matthew Lexa in lane 1 from Lower Merion High School. Obviously, sort of the claim to fame of that school is that Kobe Bryant played basketball there before he went to the NBA. But you've got Isaiah Harrison, and you know what, Colleen, kind of the big storyline coming in was, in this event, was Isaiah Harrison, and maybe he just sort of held back in the previous rounds, didn't show all of his speed, and just said, all right, I'm just going to put myself into this grand final, and then I'm really going to show everybody what I have. And that's what's going on right now. And so we'll see if anybody else can start to match the speed through the center of this race. It is still in second place, Matthew Willer of Redwood Scullers in that red boat in the middle of the screen. And starting to move is Andrew Furlow, trying to move away from Tristan Wakefield in lane 5.
Yeah, Matthew Willer then gaining a bit of momentum here into the second quarter of the race. So we saw him have a nice start, but looks like he's really in the body of the race, seeing what he can do to push himself out. Absolutely, though, Andrew Fuller moving, and it looks like Andrew Fuller's push has Tristan Wakefield out of Y Quad Cities going with him. Those are lanes 4 and 5, Tristan Wakefield, Andrew Furlow, both of them kind of pacing each other. But Matthew Willer sees them. He's looking off to his left, and making sure that he's able to keep himself ahead. That battle, though, and it looks like Andrew Furlow maybe now getting the best of it over Tristan Wakefield, happening all behind Isaiah Harrison, who, as we see, is the first to cross into the second half. Matthew Willer and Andrew Furlow continuing to move.
Isaiah Harrison, 3:32 fast time to the halfway point of our 2,000-meter race course. And when we were seeing that gorgeous shot from the side and above, you're not even seeing Isaiah Harrison. He's bottom right. He's not in the picture. He's that far ahead at the moment. It does look like Matthew Willer has opened up water now for second place for that silver medal, and that the boat from Gainesville, Andrew Furlow, continues to kind of press out. You saw Tristan Wakefield bring it to maybe even with Andrew Furlow, and then he punched back and got back into that bronze medal position, did Furlow. Look at this beautiful glassy water that we've got going on, and you know that these single scullers are happy that the conditions have nothing to do with what's going on in this race. They can come out, they can empty their tanks on the season, they can try to get a medal here at our 2021 U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta. As the camera pans over, you're going to see Isaiah Harrison. He is leading this race, trying to go start to finish out of lane 6. Just want to point out that generally speaking, what you're going to see this morning is that the fastest boats in the previous qualifying rounds coming in are actually in the center of the race course. This may be an aberration potentially out of lane 6, but it is Isaiah Harrison with that world best time erg who is making it happen here in the single.
And Matthew Willer out of lane 3 in the red shell doing everything that he can to track down Isaiah Harrison. Isaiah Harrison using his stroke rate and, of course, all of that power just to push himself ahead. We've talked about strategy throughout the weekend. Again, Isaiah Harrison, not necessarily with the fastest times earlier in the weekend, but really making sure that he puts it on for that A final. That's exactly what he's doing with with less than 500 meters to go. Isaiah Harrison in a position to take that gold medal. It's Matthew Willer then running second, Andrew Furlow still running third, and Tristan Wakefield running fourth. So close for the bronze, though, between Furlow and Wakefield. So we'll see if Wakefield has another gear. One thing's for sure, with just about 400 meters to go, Isaiah Harrison on the way to track down that gold medal.
And we see this happening in the single scull. You can really make the boat go you can change speeds really at the drop of a hat in a single scull. And what I'm looking at is that race for the bronze medal, because it does look like Isaiah Harrison is pretty well out in front. He's got that open water advantage. You see on the right side of the screen that red boat, that's Matthew Willer of Redwood Scullers. He has open water. And then you've got these two boats connected, maybe trying to get into the mix also as lane 1, Matthew Lexa of Lower Merion, but you got Furlow and Wakefield in lanes 5 and 4. They are right next to one another on the race course. They're going for that bronze medal. But it is Isaiah Harrison. He's into the red buoys. He's about 25 strokes from our finish line here at Nathan Benderson Park to win our first championship of the day. It's a men's single. Here they come. Who's going to take that bronze medal?
Isaiah Harrison pushing towards the gold, but yes, the bronze is what's at stake in the battle happening behind him. Matthew Willer in the red shell continuing to push towards that silver. Isaiah Harrison kicks it up now in his final 10-15 strokes as he moves towards the line. It's Isaiah Harrison tracking down that gold, Matthew Willer, and then such a battle in lanes 4 and 5. Tristan Wakefield and Andrew Furlow. Isaiah coming through, and it looks like, David, that Tristan Wakefield making it known that he wants the bronze out of lane 4.
Yeah, Tristan Wakefield really wound it up, and he just kind of left Andrew Furlow, unfortunately, to take 4th place. So it's Isaiah Harrison unofficially 7:08 ahead of Matthew Willer for the silver, Tristan Wakefield from Y Quad Cities for the bronze. Then it's Andrew Furlow of Gainesville area rowing ahead of Matthew Lexa from Lower Merion High School and Philip Seeger of Holy Spirit High School. So that was the first championship race of our morning. That was the men's youth single A final. And the picture up at the top of the race course, the next race, as we are already underway with it, is the women's youth single. Let me set the field for you. In lane 1, furthest from that camera shot, is Mina Bayer of Los Gatos. In lane 2 is Eva Harris of Sarasota Crew. Lane 3 is Ella Berry of Oak Neck Academy. Lane 4, Ann Herring of the Hockaday School. Lane 5, Alexandria Lang of California Yacht Club. And in lane 6, closest to the wave attenuator and the crowd coming down, is Hannah Peters of Nobles. As you see the start list come up on the screen now. So your top qualifiers in this women's single are the boats in lanes 3 and 4, and those athletes are Ella Berry of Oak Neck Academy, Ann Herring of Hockaday. They had the fastest times coming through the previous rounds. But as we saw in race 1 with Isaiah Harrison winning the national championship out of lane 6, really anything can happen here, and especially in a single scull, you could have the race of your life and you can just go out here and win it. But it does look like early on, to my eye, it's Ella Berry of Oak Neck Academy in lane 3 that is out on the field, almost has a length on the rest of the field. Also with a quick start is lane 1, that's Mina Bayer of Los Gatos, and lane 4, Ann Herring of Hockaday.
Yeah, it's a nice start for Ella Berry as you see these athletes come through the first 500 meters or so. So certainly her race plan, it's looking like, was to get out, stay out ahead. Ann Herring, though, out of lane 4 going with her. So a nice aerial shot then of across the lane, starting with lane 1 on the far side from us. Then it's Eva Harris out of lane 2 and Ella Berry with the lead. Ann Herring, though, doing what she can to keep her bow just ever so tight to our leader Ella Berry, but as they come through, we can see that just a little more than half a length, just not quite a length separating them. Still tightly packed though as we move into the second 500.
Yeah, you see, actually, it looks like the times are dead even between Mina Bayer of Los Gatos and Ann Herring of Hockaday at 500 meters, and that's for the silver and the bronze. You've got Eva Harris starting to get into the mix there from Sarasota. She's the only one rowing in that dark shell in lane 2, sort of at the top of the screen. All the other boats appear to be white. They kind of stand out against the water, but it still is in lane 3, Ella Berry of Oak Neck Academy. again, trying to get the lead, play defense, and win a national championship in the women's youth single out here at Nathan Benderson Park. Our 2021 championships being much awaited, given that we didn't have a 2020 championship, and you've got these athletes pacing themselves down the race course, seeing what they can do in this middle 1,000 to sort of hang on to speed before they get into the last 500 and start to hear our crowd, which I suspect is going to fill up even more as we get through these championship races this morning. But it continues to be really a very steady lead, pretty much the same type of advantage here for Ella Berry. Second place now is Ann Herring of Hockaday. She started to assert her speed a little bit more. She's kind of moved away from Mina Baer of Los Gatos, who was right there with her at 500 meters. So we'll see what the split times look like when they come through the next checkpoint. But now in third place is Eva Harris of Sarasota Crew.
That's right, through the 750 then, and chasing the 1,000-meter mark, that halfway point. Ella Berry still holding that lead. Ann Herring, we saw speed coming out of that 500-meter mark over the last couple of 100 meters. Same for Eva Harris as well out of lane 2, so we can see Mina Baer maybe falling a little bit off the pace as Eva picks it up as we move through that halfway point. So we'll see them in just a moment and get a sense for times. But you can see Ella Berry now just with that one length or so, not quite advantage. Then it's Ann Herring, Eva Harris, and a look then at the 1,000-meter mark at exactly where they stand. So a nice lead for Ella Berry.
Yeah, we'll see if Eva Harris from Sarasota Crew, who kind of maybe was the fastest mover in that second 500, if she can keep her momentum, she's going to be able to maybe grab an overlap with Ann Herring of Hockaday, who seems to be turning up the juice just a little bit in this third 500 as she starts to maybe close the gap just a little bit on your leader, Ella Berry of Oak Neck Academy. And as I said before, these single sculls, you really can change speeds pretty quickly if you decide that you want to put a little bit more power on, or you want to change your striking rate and go up a little bit with how many times you're dropping in per minute. And who's going to decide really between Eva Harris and Ann Herring here, that are essentially deadlocked for the silver medal? Is one of them going to decide early on as they come through 1250, to take it up or to find a different gear to try to start challenging Ella Berry up front, who has been in this driver's seat position? It might be Eva Harris now, possibly in second place ahead of Ann Herring. So we've seen just a really good middle 1,000 meters or so from Eva Harris, kind of just slowly moving through the field.
Yeah, a nice press indeed from Harris out of lane 2. She was a little bit patient off the start. She built speed through the second 500. We're now mid-third 500 and approaching the last quarter of the race. Ella Berry continuing to hold her lead, and it looks like maybe even now starting to open up, because she recognizes that battle for silver happening behind her means that there's the potential for them to start to get a little too close for comfort for Ella Berry. But they're crossing through the final 500 meters. It's looking like Ella Berry in the youth women's single A final is going after the gold. Ann Herring with an answer, David, to Eva Harris.
Yeah, here comes Ann Herring from the Hockaday School in Dallas. As you see those signs at the very top of the screen, that's 500 meters to go in this 2,000-meter race to crown a national champion in the women's youth single. It is Ella Berry, She is 4 seconds ahead of second place Ann Herring. So we've got a race within the race. The two connected boats are going for silver and bronze. It is Ann Herring of Hockaday closest to the camera, or sort of in the center of the screen. And it is Eva Harris of Sarasota Crew in the darker boat, sort of toward the top of the screen. It's a spaced out field. Fourth place right now is Mina Baer of Los Gatos in lane 1. And we also still have Alexandria Lang and Hannah Peters in lanes 5 and 6. But it's Ella Berry really putting the hammer down now. She decided sort of at 1250, I'm going to go ahead and really break this thing open. And she's going to be able to play defense. These single sculls, they have to be very careful as they start to wind it up. They've got to make sure that they don't lose focus on the rowing, because mistakes can be sometimes very disastrous in these singles. But here we go. And it does look to my eye like Eva Harris has moved ahead again of Ann Herring of Hockaday for that silver medal, but I don't think anybody's going to catch Ella Berry.
Such a battle going on for silver. Ella Berry just needs to hold this momentum. I'm sure we'll see a nice sprint from Ella Berry as well to make sure she's able to hold on to that gold medal position. She's now charging in her last 20 strokes or so, Ella Berry out of lane 3, but the battle for silver is on between Ava Harris out of lane 2. It's Ann Herring from Hockaday out of lane 4, and Ava Harris kicks it up. These athletes now charging towards the line in their final stretch. We see Ann Herring look over. Ella Berry almost through, but David, take a look at lanes 2 and 4.
Here it comes. They're definitely going to be connected. Is it going to be a photo finish for that silver medal, as your national champion in the women's youth single is Ella Berry of Oak Neck Academy? Who's going to take that silver medal? Oh, throwing their backs into it. Unofficially, to my eye, it's Eva Harris of Sarasota Crew with the pink hat that's going to finish a couple of feet ahead of Ann Herring of the Hockaday School. As a great push in the last 500 meters has Hannah Peters finishing in 4th place from representing Nobles, just ahead of Mina Bear of Los Gatos, and then Alexandria Lang of California Yacht Club.
Wow, a really nice push from Ava Harris to put herself in that 2nd place position. Ella Berry, Ava Harris, Ann Herring. That's gold, silver, and bronze in the women's youth single. We'll head back up to the start then after taking a quick look at the unofficial finish times here from the last race we saw. And we'll move into the men's youth pair. So another A final, race for medals. And a look at the start list here. So it's Rowe, New Jersey, lane 1, lane 2, Concord, lane 3, Camp Randall, lane 4, Canisius, lane 5, Chicago, and lane 6, St. Joseph's Prep. Camp Randall has had some gutsy racing over this regatta, David. What do you think we can expect to see?
We have seen that, and they've had kind of somewhat varying race plans, but oftentimes we're seeing Camp Randall come out with a lot of speed at the beginning of each race. These pairs races, again, very touchy boats. You have to be careful not to make mistakes, particularly off the start line. You've got to make sure that you're clean, that you keep your boat straight, and that you get it up to speed. And oftentimes we see the pairs come off maybe with a little bit less aggressiveness in terms of actual back and forth speed of the athletes, simply because they're trying to make sure that they don't lose course, they don't catch a digger or catch a crab, which can be very disastrous in a pair. But also, there's been a lot of pairs rowing in general, especially with a lot of the larger programs that have a bunch of pairs that they can put on the water, simply because of the pandemic that we've just gone through. So I expect these pairs to be very proficient with their rowing, and as they get going here, we'll see who decides to kind of push out. Again, Camp Randall and Canisius out of Buffalo are your top qualifiers coming in, but it's anybody's ball game. You just saw a silver medal out of lane 2. We saw a national championship out of lane 6. So getting yourself in an A final and then having the race of your life can mean a medal here at the 2021 U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta. Gorgeous overhead picture. I'm seeing a fast start out of lane 3, Camp Randall.
Camp Randall, quick off the line. We've seen gutsy starts for Camp Randall, but we've also seen some really aggressive finishes as well. So I think part of their strategy is just to row it high, to row, row with power, of course, but also to use their stroke rate to their advantage. It looks like that's exactly what they're doing as they come through the first 500 meters and the first 250 meters. So first 250 is where these athletes will really execute their starting race plan. Right about now, they'll lengthen into their base cadence. It was a good start for Camp Randall, but Prep out of lane 6, making it known that they want to have a good start as well, David, as we move to the first 250, keeping an eye on Camp Randall and St. Joseph's Prep.
Yeah, Prep still at 36 as they approach 500 meters. It's Camp Randall at a lower stroke cadence than Prep. Will that matter? We will find out. Third place appears to be the boat from Canisius, and Canisius just slightly ahead of lane 2. That's Concord. As they come through the 500 meters, we'll see the split times. You can see the light blue jerseys of Camp Randall out in front, and then coming through it is Prep about a second behind Camp Randall, and then you see Canisius, Concord, and Rowe, New Jersey just ahead of the boat, I think, from Chicago. But everyone is still in the mix, and Colleen, you and I got the privilege of announcing the 2017 World Championships here on this race course, and these pairs races are extremely exciting. We saw Italy in the men's pair. If you go back and watch that final, it's probably one of the best races I've ever seen come from third place to win the gold medal in that pairs race in the last 500 meters. So yet again, with these small boats, you can really change speeds pretty quickly. As Camp Randall moves out with open water, look at how close this racing is. It's even more bunched up and closer than it was at 500.
Yeah, and I think Canisius, just heard your story about the Italians, because if you take a look at lane 4, they're coming from third and doing whatever they possibly can in the second quarter to push themselves, not just in that bronze position, but to hopefully a silver, maybe even a gold. Camp Randall, though, still holds on to it. They'll have some work to do to pass St. Joseph's Prep, if that's what they're looking to do. But keeping an eye, you can see just how tight it is, and that was a really nice move out of lane 4. Canisius to now pull almost level, if not just with a slight advantage over St. Joseph's Prep, but we'll get times as they come through the 1,000. Looks like it's just ever so close for those positions.
So it's two athletes. They each have one oar, and that's the pair. So it's the men's pair here, the A final at the 2021 U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta from Sarasota, Bradenton, Florida. You've got open water right now for lane 3, Camp Randall, trying to go start to finish. You see Camp Randall first to the 1,000 meter checkpoint. And here comes Canisius. Canisius is going to be second, just ahead of Prep. And then you've got dead level Concord and Rowe, New Jersey, just then slightly ahead of Chicago. But with this overhead shot, you can see just how close all of the boats are as we start to see more speed possibly out of Canisius. Maybe they're starting to close the gap just a little bit on that boat from Camp Randall, and going with them is that boat right in the picture closest to the camera. That is the boat from St. Joe's Prep. You saw maybe just a little bobble there on one stroke. Didn't really seem to even affect the boat speed. But here comes lanes 1 and 2. You see them up there. They're really charging into the picture. Lane 1 is Rowe, New Jersey. Lane 2 is Concord. Here they come.
And look at Canisius moving and continuing to move. A nice second 500-meter stretch. They carry that momentum into the third 500. Canisius continuing to open up the gap, but St. Joseph's Prep not letting them out of their sight. And then that's absolutely great. Rowe, New Jersey on the far side, bringing it into the mix as well. So Rowe, New Jersey with 750 meters to go starts to put themselves potentially into that podium mix. Such a battle out of lanes 1 and 6. That's Prep out of lane 6. Rowe, New Jersey lane 1. Canisius still moving. Will all of these sort of sub battles be able to threaten Camp Randall? We will find out.
Camp Randall still with a little bit of open. I love that shot from the side. I mean, I like this shot too, but from the side we saw it looks like the bowman in that far boat is the one that sort of is letting the stroke man know what to do in that Rowe, New Jersey pair, because he's the one that's looking over at the competitors that they're trying to get past. Particularly, you were talking about Prep, and then in the Prep boat, I'm seeing sort of both athletes just every once in a while catching a peek to their right as to what's going on in this race. Again, it's probably even getting closer. The only boat that's off the pace at all here is Chicago. Everybody else in the mix. There is open water for Camp Randall, but the rest of the medals are completely up for grabs here as they come into the last 500 meters. This is a great race here in the men's youth pair. A final is being dominated by Camp Randall, but look at what's going on behind them as Prep starts to find speed yet again in lane 6, but it's Canisius holding on to the silver medal. Are they going to be able to hold off Prep and Rowe, New Jersey? That's the question.
Yeah, Rowe, New Jersey definitely wants to be on the podium. They made that clear as they moved through the 1,000. Prep doing everything they can to put them back in that position for the bronze medal. We see Prep starting to make a move. The question, is it Rowe, New Jersey? Is it Prep? You can see on those outside lanes that they're just ever so close. One thing's for sure, Camp Randall, open water advantage, but the battle for silver now coming on strong. Canisius will have to look out. Prep behind Canisius right now, but Canisius being threatened. Rowe, New Jersey not to be left out, but Prep has another gear.
Yeah, I think Rowe, New Jersey might be in second place, actually. It's hard to tell with the angle. It's Canisius, it's Rowe, New Jersey, it's Prep. Even getting back into it with a big sprint here is Concord. It's really going to come down to the line. All we know is that Camp Randall out of Madison, Wisconsin has open water in those light blue jerseys. And here it's going to come right down to the line, as Prep maybe is over in lane 7 now as they finish up their piece here. Who's going to take that silver medal? And who's going to take the bronze medal? What a battle. Concord right in the mix. It's going to come down to the cameras for those medals behind your new national champion in the men's pair. It is Camp Randall. And wow, to my eye, I can't even tell. Maybe it is Rowe, New Jersey with the silver medal out of lane 1 with a just amazing sprint in the last 500 meters as we see the unofficial times coming through on the screen. I gotta wait for him because I don't even know who is in the medals. Concord with a crazy last 500. Looks like they may be in that bronze medal position, about 0.2 of a second ahead of Canisius, who was sitting in second place coming into 500 to go. Wow, what a race in the men's pair.
Oh, an incredible push from Rowe, New Jersey. Concord, of course, as well. But Rowe, New Jersey, really nice second 1,000 to put them in that silver medal position. That was the men's youth pair A final. We'll move back up to the start then in just a moment for the women's youth pair. Another race for medals in the A final there. And a look then at the start of the women's youth pair. Out of lane 1, PNRA Mercer, lane 2, Camp Randall, lane 3, Holy Names, lane 4, Connecticut, lane 5, Winter Park, and lane 6, Greenwich. David, will see if the Camp Randall men's youth pair that just won is sending some good energy up to their teammates.
Yeah, and you've got Connecticut Boat Club in lane 4. They won this race 2 years ago at our last U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta here at Nathan Benderson Park. But you're talking about two different athletes. We're talking about 2 years apart. But that said, the trophy has been residing at the Connecticut Boat Club for 2 years now, and you know that those women, Galloway and Greco, in that boat in lane 4 on the picture there, are going to want to keep that trophy in the boathouse there at Connecticut Boat Club. So anything can happen in the pairs. As we just saw, you saw basically every place change hands in the last 500 meters with the exception of that Camp Randall boat staying out in front. And so I'm expecting more exciting 6-boat across racing here for this A final of the women's pair.
Yeah, and of course one of the subplots has been the Connecticut kind of rivalry between Connecticut Boat Club and Greenwich, both really powerhouse programs. For now, though, we have a start, and it looks like it's a quick start from Winter Park. They shot out of the gate out of lane 5. We'll get a sense of those margins, but a good start for Winter Park, no doubt.
Yeah, if we can get a picture of them, I'm going to get their stroke cadence. I bet you it's like 40 strokes a minute. You see them on the right side of the screen in the white boat. That's Winter Park High School out of the Orlando area, 41 strokes a minute off the line. My eye went to them right away as well, Colleen, because they decided we know how to nail these starts. We're going to go, and that's exactly what they did. Going with them, you see the black and Volt jerseys. That's Connecticut Boat Club, who might actually now have pulled ahead of Winter Park as they get into and through the first 250 meters here on our 2,000-meter race course at Nathan Benderson Park. So starting to assert themselves is Connecticut Boat Club. You still see Winter Park sitting in second place, and starting to maybe lose a little bit of ground is Winter Park, just slightly to that boat from Holy Names Academy in the Seattle area in lane 3.
Yeah, quick start from Winter Park as we saw. Connecticut, though, doing it with power, making that shift to base cadence out of the first 250 meters with the legs, with swing, with power. And so they're now stepping into their base cadence. And I have a sense that that Connecticut will make the best of the second 500-meter stretch. We'll get times in just a moment. But Holy Names, indeed, starting to press out as well. So Winter Park Park, very fast off the gate, but as these athletes then settle into their race rhythm, maybe losing a little bit of steam, and just look at Connecticut go. So now they have an open water length over the rest of the field, and they're the first to cross through that first checkpoint.
35 is the stroke cadence for Connecticut. As you see the rest of the field very bunched up there, you're going to see the times come through, probably 2 seconds total separating places 2 through 5. The only boat is that boat in lane 6 from Greenwich that's just slightly off the pace of those other 4. But yet again, you can see just how the boat speeds can change in this pair, and that the bobbles mean a lot more. I am just always interested in watching the pair simply to see what the rowing looks like, because it's so difficult to evenly match your pair partner to make sure that the boat's going straight down the race course and that you're able to be as powerful as you can be and really put the fitness into the blade when you're dealing with all of these other things that are going on in the pair. You see a good shot there of Holy Names in that dark boat with sort of the gray and burgundy, both unisuits, the white visors. They're sitting there. Looks like their bow card says 0. They're in lane 3 as they come through 750, and they are now your second place boat. You've got Winter Park with that lane 5 bow card trying to hang on. We're seeing more speed now out of Mercer. PNRA Mercer in lane 1 is maybe trying to move past Winter Park, and going with Mercer is Camp Randall.
Yeah, a nice push from PNRA Mercer. Again, they're on the far side, that bow number 1. Holy Names pushed out as well. Camp Randall maybe with a bit of an answer. But as we move through the second quarter of the race and toward that halfway point, PNRA Mercer starting to press down a little bit. Holy Names as well. So Connecticut definitely with a pretty comfortable lead, but they'll have to just make sure that they continue opening up that lead, because as you can see, lanes 1 and 3, that's PNRA Mercer and Holy Names, are starting to really make a press, sort of leaving Winter Park a little bit behind them, along with Camp Randall, and then out of lane 6, it's Greenwich. So Connecticut leading at the halfway point by a quite comfortable lead here.
They are in the driver's seat to win another national championship in the women's pair is Connecticut Boat Club. I think second place as they come through, it is Mercer all the way up there in lane 1, just slightly ahead of Greenwich. You can see 0.3 of a second as Holy Names and Greenwich come through with exactly the same time at the halfway point. So resetting the field at halfway, yes, Connecticut is well out in front. We have seen that in these first 4 races. We've seen your leader really be out in front early and often in these championship races. And that's a great shot from the side, from the wave attenuator here at Nathan Benderson Park, of the proficiency and the efficiency of the rowing of that pair, as they just really are slicing the boat through the water. They're letting it move, and there's a lot of power in there from those 2 women, Galloway and Greco of Connecticut Boat Club, as they continue to move away from the field. But it is still speed from PNRA Mercer up there in lane 1. They are sitting in a very solid second place right now, ahead of Holy Names and Greenwich. And we'll see as they continue to go down the track what's going to happen. You got Camp Randall in there in the mix, as you see a shot there of Winter Park High School.
Yeah, PNRA Mercer with, again, just before the 1,000-meter mark, that halfway point with a really nice press. Looks like Holy Names sticking right with them at the halfway point. It was PNRA Mercer running second with Holy Names running third. We'll get a sense of exactly those margins. You can see that they're ever so close as they come through it now the third quarter. Connecticut, though, holding their own up at the front. This is a shot then at PNRA Mercer. Looks like they've managed to really push themselves a little bit further ahead of Holy Names. So Holy Names decidedly then running third. PNRA Mercer has another gear to go. They were patient in the first 500, first 750. They stepped into it. They're carrying that momentum through with them, and we'll see exactly what they can do then at the last 500 meters. Would take something special to catch Connecticut as times come up. You can see just Connecticut with that dominant lead, making it look easy up at the front. PNRA Mercer running second. Holy Names about a second behind them for third.
Yeah, and I think the times threw me off. I don't think Greenwich was actually in the mix. We saw at 1,000, it seemed like they were with the times that came through. But you're seeing it space out. You see Connecticut Boat Club on the right side. They've had this couple length of open water advantage all the way down the track. They're going to try to just make sure they don't make any mistakes, put on a show for the fans, and retain that trophy in the women's pair. Here comes that boat from Holy Names. Holy Names is really closing the gap. They're finding speed here to try to close the gap, try to take that silver medal away from PNRA Mercer. Those Mercer women, you can better believe that they've seen a bunch of United States women's pairs out there on their water where they train, because they train right next to the national team. You know, those pairs were very important for the selection process of the Olympic team. Are they going to be able to find it here in the last 250 to try to track down now Holy Names that has moved ahead for the silver medal? But it's all Connecticut Boat Club.
Yeah, Connecticut Boat Club with that lead on their way to take gold on the podium. Holy Names with that answer for PNRA Mercer as they charge through the final 250 meters. It's looking like Holy Names will be able to press away from PNRA Mercer. There's still a bit of time. They're so close, but they're starting to run out of water. So Connecticut holds it. Connecticut takes a shift up now in their final 15 strokes or so, chasing the gold. A great press from Holy Names. PNRA Mercer with a bit of an answer too, but as they come through just ever so close, it's looking like Holy Names though will hold it. It's Connecticut Boat Club then on the way to take the gold in the women's youth pair. It's Holy Names out of lane 3 to capture that silver medal, and then on the far side, PNRA Mercer as Camp Randall comes through their final few strokes to capture 4th. Then out of lane 6, a good push from Greenwich puts them ahead of Winter Park as Winter Park finishes 6th. So congratulations to Connecticut Boat Club. It's Holy Names for the silver, PNRA Mercer for the bronze.
Welcome back to the 2021 U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta from Sarasota, Bradenton, Florida, and Nathan Benderson Park. You see 6 boats across at our start line, and we'll set the field for you. We've added 2 oars to each of these boats. This is the double, the Men's Youth Double A Final. Furthest from the camera in Lane 1 is Y Quad Cities. Lane 2, Oak Neck Academy. Lane 3, California Yacht Club. Lane 4, South Eugene. Lane 5, Newport Sea Base, and in Lane 6, closest to that camera shot, is Oregon Rowing Unlimited. Here they go in the Men's Youth Double. We just watched the pairs. If you're watching at home, you're not as familiar with rowing. These boats are going to go a little faster in both the men's and the women's categories because we've added oars. Each of these rowers have 2 oars. We are looking at what are called sculling boats. And you've got a just shot out of a cannon, really fast start from Oak Neck Academy in Lane 2.
Yeah, that's a gutsy start, isn't it? Look at Oak Neck Academy. They've now got not quite a full length on the field. Bow number 4, that's South Eugene, making sure that doesn't quite happen. And then just a beautiful shot here of the rest of the bows. You can see the bow seats 250 meters in, just looking over their shoulder left to right to see exactly where they stand. But a gutsy start from Oak Neck Academy. We'll see if they can hold on to this pace. Definitely making a statement though out of the gate, and then an overhead shot of the margin that they've earned so far, closing in now to just shy of the 500 meter down.
Yep, Oak Neck Academy. So that's their plan, and they've got the lead, maybe even a little bit of open water. They're the only boat you're not going to really see in the shot here that we're looking at. You've got a good shot there of what appear to be brothers from Newport Sea Base, Newport Beach, California, in that gold boat called the Dan McGill, and they are right next to and locked into a battle early on here with South Eugene in Lane 4. We'll see the split times as they come through. You see it's a length advantage for Oak Neck Academy. And wow, it's going to be so close. 3 boats for places 2 through 4, separated by 0.3 of a second at 500 meters. South Eugene, Newport Sea Base, California Yacht Club, as they all power down this race course and they start to think about maintaining speed and finding some momentum in the middle 1,000.
And a nice look at lanes 3, 4, and 5 here. That's California Yacht Club and the white shell out of lane 3, then South Eugene, and then closest to us, lane 5, that's Newport Sea Base. So we know that Oak Neck Academy is out, but look at the battle happening between these 3 boats right now. They've stayed so connected over the past several hundred meters. No one's able to really break free. It looked like South Eugene maybe starting to make a press there, but such a thrilling part of the race, David, when you're just that close with your competitors. You want to break away, but it's an incredible feeling to be racing side by side and to feel that excitement.
So maybe South Eugene just slightly a couple feet ahead of those other 2 that we've talked about. You can see South Eugene there. It looks like maybe purple or black unis and blades, and trying to go with them. As soon as I said South Eugene made a little move, you got California Yacht Club up there in the white boat with the bow card 3 and the navy blades. But everybody is still trying to track down Oak Neck Academy. They got shot out at just a different speed than everyone else. They got about a length in the first 200 meters, and they've just sat on that length, has Oak Neck Academy right side of the screen. And you see just the tip of the stern of Oak Neck Academy as they've opened up a little water, and now it's California Yacht Club that has decided they want to take over the silver medal position at 1,000. And you see it's just a deck, California Yacht Club over South Eugene, who has about a half a deck on Newport Sea Base.
Yeah, no one's been able to track down Oak Neck Academy, that is for sure. But California Yacht Club with that really nice push that's moved them, I think, from earlier from 4th all the way up now into that 2nd place position. The race is on. California Yacht Club with the press, and then we get a look at South Eugene out of lane 4, currently running 3rd. That battle between South Eugene and California Yacht Club has pushed Newport Sea Base and the Yellow Shell just a little bit further back. So the race is on. Currently, it's Oak Neck Academy in pursuit of that gold, but that push from California Yacht Club brings them closer to Oak Neck Academy. Can Oak Neck Academy hold off California Yacht Club? California Yacht Club moving.
They are, Colleen. California Yacht Club is closing the gap. I'm looking at the stroke ratings, though. Oak Neck Academy out of Bayville, New York. They are very patient here. The stroke rating is lower than California Yacht Club. So they're playing defense, and they're playing defense through the water with the amount of pressure they're putting on the blades in that Oak Neck Academy double. And I would suspect they have another gear that we haven't seen yet. So we'll see what happens in the last 500 meters. But as they come in the picture, you see the race for the medals. It's Oak Neck Academy up there in lane 2. They're trying to hang on. There's a ton of momentum from both California Yacht Club in lane 3, who has almost brought it to level with Oak Neck Academy, and South Eugene in lane 4 that's trying to hold an overlap there in the picture with California Yacht Club, as looks like they threw a punch back, did Oak Neck Academy at California Yacht Club, as we come through 500 meters to go in the men's youth double A final. This is for a national championship, and this is the closest race we've had up front with 500 meters to go so far this morning.
Yeah, look out, Oak Neck Academy. Here comes California Yacht Club. California Yacht Club negative splitting the piece, meaning they didn't need to be the fastest off the line, and they built speed throughout the piece. So Oak Neck Academy will have to find another gear to hold off this charging California Yacht Club. And of course, as we're seeing this, they're just pulling level. It will be ever so close. Oak Neck Academy will have to start their sprint early, not quite at 250 meters, and maybe for the first time, California Yacht Club then puts their bow ahead. South Eugene still running 3rd.
Yeah, I caught the stroke man in the California Yacht Club looking to his right as they come into the red buoys. He is looking over at Oak Neck Academy, and he's thinking about, all right, maybe I've got to take it up a beat or two with my stroke cadence. It is California Yacht Club who has gotten past Oak Neck Academy in this last 500 meters. They have 3/4 of a length ahead of Oak Neck Academy. Oak Neck Academy with some open water back to South Eugene. A lot of speed out of Y Quad Cities to try to finish this piece. Maybe try to grab a bronze medal up there in lane 1. Those are your boats coming through. It's California Yacht Club. Can they hang on as they start to get pushed back now from Oak Neck Academy?
California Yacht Club, we saw them take up the stroke rate to put themselves in that gold medal position. Can they hold off Oak Neck Academy? It looks like they will in these final 10 strokes. California Yacht Club, what a second thousand. They come through to take the gold. It's Oak Neck Academy running second, and then over to lane 4, South Eugene. But yes, what a last 500 from Y Quad Cities. And then coming out of lane 5, that's Newport Seabase. And in their final few strokes, it's Oregon Unlimited. An incredible race. It's California Yacht Club to take the gold, Oak Neck Academy for the silver, and South Eugene for the bronze. A nice push from Y Quad Cities at the end.
It was. They just ran out of water to Y Quad Cities, but they may have been the fastest split time over that last 500. So, new national champions in the men's youth double, unofficially California Yacht Club. As you see the times filter to our screen, they're unofficial, but we did see California Yacht Club come across the line in first place. So, the next race that we will see on our race course will be the women's installment of this boat class, the women's youth double, and we will bring that to you momentarily.
A look then at the start line, the women's youth double A final. It's RFH out of lane 1. It's Waterford lane 2. Niskayuna from upstate New York lane 3. Three Rivers out of lane 4. Cambridge Boat Club lane 5. And Oak Neck Academy out of lane 6.
So you've got Oak Neck Academy putting their crews in the finals of both the men's and women's youth doubles at our 2021 U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta in Sarasota, Florida. You've got Rumson Fairhaven is RFH in lane 1 out of New Jersey. And just coming in, as we want to point out one more time, because it may not be clear based upon a lot of the results that we have seen so far this morning, which is very exciting. Your top 2 qualifiers, the semifinal winners, are Niskayuna in lane 3, Three Rivers in lane 4. So previous round, best times and best performances out of those 2 crews, but this is a national championship, and you never know what can happen. You can find some heroism, you can find your best piece of your life, and you can find yourselves on the podium.
Isaiah Harrison might have left some good vibes out of lane 6 too. We'll keep an eye on that lane. That kicked off our morning with that championship in the men's youth single.
Yeah, the other thing that it points out is just how fair this race course here at Nathan Benderson Park in Sarasota, Florida is. We've seen medals come out of basically every lane so far this morning, and we're only about to our 6th event of the morning. You got a good shot there. The red jerseys of Niskayuna in lane 3. As we get ready to go, you'll see the athletes drop their blades in the water on the square, and they will be ready to take those first strokes. You see on the left side of the screen with the green shirt, we have lovely volunteers here who volunteer to have the best view that really no one ever gets, which is the view of holding the stern and letting go as soon as the starter gets these races underway, and they get to watch these boats from about a foot off of the water go from a dead stop to as fast as possible down these lanes.
Yeah, in the Florida June heat nonetheless, so very thankful for all of our volunteers.
So it looks to me like they're going to try to get alignment. The platforms that those volunteers are holding the sterns of these boats, they move in and out, and they have to move in and out based upon the lengths of the different boats. For instance, we're going to have 8s later that are about double the length or even a little bit more of these doubles. So you'll see those platforms go much further back to the left and into the big stake platform here at Nathan Benderson Park. So we're getting ready to get going. 6 boats across for a national championship in the women's youth double at our 2021 U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta, live streaming on ESPN. And as the crews sit ready, we're getting ready to go, it appears, very shortly and we'll see. We saw in the last race, Oak Neck Academy at 200 meters already had a length on the field. That is not a very common occurrence to see somebody go out really that fast. But obviously they have put a premium, Oak Neck Academy, on practicing starts and being extremely fast off the line. So maybe we'll see that out of lane 6, the women from Oak Neck Academy.
And we should have a start here then momentarily. These athletes, you can see them just touching the water to gain their point. little bit of a crosswind, which can make it tricky to maintain that point.
Yeah, wind coming out of the west. You can tell, you can see the water. It's really just, it's not much of a wind, but it can, even just a tiny, tiny bit of a push from the wind can make it a little bit more challenging for these boats to make sure that they are aimed directly down the center of each of the lanes.
Well, and it's a timing thing too, isn't it? Because then when one starts to adjust their point, then the other one loses their point. So oftentimes we'll see what they call a quick start, where the official just says, well, we'll go in however many seconds, and they just call it. If the start takes that long, they'll make that decision. But they, of course, try to give everyone the time they need to really get pointed.
Yeah, I think what we were waiting on, and you see lane 2, I saw that bow was maybe 6 inches behind the others, and now it looks like it's nice, level, and even. I think that might be what they're waiting on. It's just getting alignment of all the bows, and what we mean by that is if you shoot a laser horizontally across the race course, making sure that every single one of the boats is starting at exactly the same horizontal point on the race course. Nobody's got an advantage or disadvantage, and everybody's going to go exactly the same distance. We hope it's exactly 2,000 meters, but regardless, they are going exactly the same distance down our race course here at Nathan Benderson Park. And they're sitting ready. I think we are going to be now going very shortly. 6 boats across, as we said. Who's going to want to get the lead early here in the women's double? Here they go.
And we have a start. It's the women's youth double, the A final. And a pretty tightly packed start. We'll get a sense of exactly what those margins are as we look across. So lane 4, that's a great start for lane 4, which is Three Rivers. We see them just pressing out ahead of Niskayuna in lane 3. As David mentioned, we'll want to keep an eye on Niskayuna and Three Rivers based on their performance in the prior rounds. Three Rivers, though, hunting down the gold and making that known in the first 250 meters, doing it with power. They weren't necessarily crazy fast off the line. They certainly led off the line, but we see them now opening up that margin in the first quarter, not quite breaking into open water, but on their way.
Three Rivers out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I've kind of always wondered why that team hasn't chosen the black and gold of every other team in Pittsburgh, but they have remained consistent with their navy red and white, and it's just what we saw in the men's version of the double at 250. You've got a full length advantage for your early leader, Three Rivers, out of lane 4. And then trying to go with Three Rivers, it looks like the boats that are closest to them are lane 6, Oak Neck Academy. So the women from Oak Neck Academy also having a fast start like the men did. And also lane 3, Niskayuna out of New York, which you're seeing in the center of the screen there with those red jerseys. And looking at that Niskayuna double right now, Colleen, it looks like a very low stroke rating. It looks like they have some room to move. So maybe their idea is, let's stay in the pack here and let's show in the second half what we're made of.
Yeah, I mean, that's ideal, isn't it, to sort of have that negative split approach where you come off the line quickly, but then you build speed as you move into the second half so that you have somewhere to go. That's certainly how a lot of athletes will approach the erg. So Three Rivers then coming through 500 meters down, Niskayuna then running second. We'll see if that's Niskayuna's plan to sort of negative split it and then come back into the second half. But Three Rivers has taken the advantage over Niskayuna ever so tight. We see lane 6, that's Oak Neck Academy, keeping themselves in there as well. So racing towards that halfway point, it's still anyone's race.
And it's Rumson Fairhaven up there in lane 1 out of New Jersey with the black and white unisuits, so white visors. They're also in the picture here, and at 500 meters they were in the medals. So you're looking at what's going on behind your leader, which is Three Rivers. You see them on the right side of the screen there, just barely. And we have another 3-boat battle going on, at least in this second 500 meters for the silver and the bronze medal. In this installment, this battle that's going on behind your leader start to close the gap? We'll find out if they start to push each other. Niskayuna, Rumson Fairhaven, and Oak Neck Academy kind of across this race course are locked into a battle for medals, but you see out in front and continuing to remain out front with open water is in your picture there, Three Rivers.
Yeah, what a push from Three Rivers as they moved through the second quarter. You can see just that open water and then back to the rest of the field. They were very tightly packed early on in the first 500 meters, still pretty tight, and then they just decided to go, and they went, and they now have that open water advantage over the rest of the field. Niskayuna being challenged by RFH out of lane 1. Niskayuna, we can see just barely keeping themselves. In fact, they might be even more level than we think. We'll get a sense of times at the next checkpoint. We're at a bit of an angle. Three Rivers, though, no doubt when they decided to go, they just kept opening it up. Halfway, it's Three Rivers leading. A look then at exactly who's running second. Niskayuna holds it. I mean, dead even, though, right, with RFH at that point through the 1,000.
Yep, trading punches for the silver medal, Niskayuna and Rumson Fairhaven. Only 30 strokes a minute in that Niskayuna boat still as they come into the third 500, and they start to maybe make a push there at halfway to just get into the silver medal position. That boat, those red jerseys of Niskayuna, as Rumson Fairhaven must hear me, and they're coming back up there in lane 1. But look at this other battle going on right in front of us. It is in lanes 5 and 6. It's Cambridge and Oak Neck Academy. Oak Neck Academy was in a medal position early, and it looks like they're starting to fade just a little bit relative to the others as Cambridge starts to get into the mix. We haven't seen them really in it yet, and they've got a connection on both Niskayuna and Rumson Fairhaven, which are the boats that are holding down second and third.
Yeah, Cambridge, I think Jeffy Stone somewhere is willing them in their last 750 meters to make that move. Of course, Jeffy Stone will represent the United States at the Olympics, at the Tokyo Olympics in the double. She's had great success in the single in earlier Olympics in 2016, 2012. So Cambridge Boat Club is her hometown, and Cambridge out of lane 5 making that press now. We'll see if it's enough, though, to catch RFH out of lane 1 and Niskayuna starting to close in now. Well into the second half and approaching the 500 to go. So starting to run out of time. Three Rivers, though, continues to hold.
Yeah, I'm seeing if I can get a cadence on Three Rivers. They're mid-30s, and they just keep the throttle down, we should say. These are boats. They've got the throttle down. They have from the beginning. And as they approach the last 500 meters, it's going to be very difficult for anybody to track down Three Rivers out front. That was a shot there of lane 2. That is Waterford. I think they're sitting in 6th place as the field is somewhat spaced out. However, you still have this just amazing battle going on between Rumson Fairhaven, Niskayuna, and now Cambridge for the other medals behind that boat from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Three Rivers. As you start to see Niskayuna start to take up the stroke rating finally, and they're starting to pull away and really be in a solid silver medal position. Are they going to have enough water to track down Three Rivers? It's going to be difficult, but as we see Cambridge really starting to move up and challenge Rumson Fairhaven for that bronze medal.
Yeah, Cambridge, as we saw, was running third at the last checkpoint. We're now coming into the final 250 meters. Three Rivers leads. Niskayuna running second, but Cambridge moving into that bronze medal position, taking it from RFH. We'll see if Cambridge has another gear to go. Cambridge now starting to challenge Niskayuna. Not quite there. Niskayuna is still holding on to that second place, that silver medal. No doubt about it. Open water lead for Three Rivers, but Cambridge is on the move. Still about some work to do. Still about a length or so they'll need to catch Niski.
So Three Rivers, it's like they pressed a button and they went to one speed and they've held it all the way down the race course, and it has them still with open water ahead of Niskayuna. Niskayuna sitting in solid silver medal position. Open water back to current third place Cambridge. Does Rumson Fairhaven, does Waterford, does Oak Neck Academy have anything to track down that bronze medal being held by Cambridge Boat Club as they come in front of us and into the last 7 or so strokes for a national championship? It does look like they're going to hang on and do it start to finish. It's going to be the women from Three Rivers that are going to take those gold medals back to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a length ahead of second place, which is Niskayuna with the silver, and just hanging on to it as they got pushed tremendously for the bronze medal. Looks like it's going to be Cambridge Boat Club just ahead of Oak Neck Academy, Rumson Fairhaven, and Waterford. That was the championship race here at the 2021 U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta from Sarasota, Florida. That was a women's youth double. And Colleen, the next race that we're going to have on our race course here is going to involve coxswains. It's going to be the men's youth 4 with coxswain.
We'll head back up to the start then, but first look at those times that we saw just go through. Three Rivers with the gold, Niskayuna for the silver. Nice push from Cambridge gets them bronze, and a good sprint from Oak Neck to take fourth. Back up at the start though, this is Marin out of lane 1, St. Louis lane 2, Christian Brothers lane 3, it's Nobles lane 4, Belmont Hill lane 5, and Row America Rye out of lane 6. Row America Rye with a great regatta and a lot of depth across the weekend, David.
Yep, we're going to see a lot of Row America Rye boats in many of the boat classes coming. Here we go. This is our first 5-athlete race of our championship here for the A finals, and a really quick start out of lane 3, Christian Brothers. And we'll see sort of where these boats shape up as they come through 250. You see the buoys that they're coming through are still red. They're going to change to yellow. That's at the 100-meter point in our 2,000-meter race course. It's a long race, and it's going to be about 6.5 minutes for these 4s as they come down. It is those sort of zebra-looking jerseys, the horizontal stripes of Christian Brothers out into the early lead. And what I was looking at coming in, obviously we haven't had, this is 2 years in the making, this championship. Our last one was 2019, but we do have 3 boats that were in the grand final in this boat class with Belmont Hill, who took, you see them there in the gold boat. They took the bronze medal in 2019 there in lane 5. You also had Row America Rye and Christian Brothers in that grand final, but both of them finishing respectively in 5th and 6th place. So they're going to look to improve upon that as you start to see a big push now from Nobles.
Nobles, yeah, over the last 20-30 strokes, look at them challenge Christian Brothers. Nobles now pressing themselves out. A look then at the full field, and it is Nobles leading. A really nice power move from that shell over the last 30-40 strokes or so. Puts them in that first place advantage. It's Belmont Hill then running just behind them, and on the other side, St. Louis. So there's 3 shells in the center. It's Nobles first to cross into the body of the race, and then just on the other side of them, it's looking like Christian Brothers then holding second with Belmont Hill running third.
Very, very powerful looking in that Nobles boat. And you're right, they just kind of turned on the jets, or really maybe it was their shift that just found more speed that they shifted into than the rest of the field. As you see a good shot there, that is the boat from Belmont Hill, the gold boat, and then you see that gray boat with those striped unisuits. That is Christian Brothers. So they are trailing Nobles. Nobles is in between them in a lane 4, but over to the right. As we see coming into the picture, that's lane 2, St. Louis. So they are in the mix here, and they've been fast in the 4s over the last 5 or so years at this regatta. So it still is sort of anybody's game, but they're going to have to make sure that Nobles they don't lose touch with Nobles. There's only one boat, it looks like, Christian Brothers, with any maybe connection on Nobles at the moment, and they may not quite have a connection. It's interesting for the coxswain in that Nobles boat. It looks like she is not going to be able to see anybody the rest of the race if they stay out front. So again, we talked about it in earlier rounds. The coxswain's laying down in the bow of the boat. It shifts to look, we're out in front and continuing to motivate, but she can't really call the speeds of the other boats.
And then a look back just behind her, that's lanes 3 and 5, Christian Brothers and Belmont Hill. Christian Brothers with the advantage over Belmont Hill, so quite the battle happening as they move through that halfway point. It's Nobles to get there first, 3:14, and then just behind them, the Christian Brothers holding on to that second place position, ever so close, about 0.4 of a second separating them, and then it's back to the rest of the field. So race is on for medals. Nobles in hot pursuit of the gold. Christian Brothers at the moment holding on to that silver position with Belmont running third. So it'll take a lot to catch up to Nobles, but really the race happening for silver.
Yeah, starting to see some speed from St. Louis. You saw a picture there briefly of what's going on for 4th, 5th, and 6th place as we now give you what's going on for the silver medal. Again, it's Christian Brothers at the top of the screen. It is Belmont Hill at the bottom of the screen. Belmont Hill, a very, very long tradition of rowing in these fours out of the Boston area, and they're going to try to win another medal here for their school at the Youth National Championships. 12:50, so 750 meters left for the two boats on the screen, but it's still Nobles well out in front over on the right. They'd be on the right side of the screen coming down, and it's Christian Brothers, and they put on maybe a little bit of move there to take a seat or two more on Belmont Hill. It's going to be difficult to track down Nobles, so I'm looking at whether any of these other boats can start challenging these two that are locked into this race for silver and bronze.
Christian Brothers with the push puts them just a little bit further ahead of Belmont Hill. So Belmont Hill will need to think about going early as they approach the last 500 meters to really solidify that bronze. Look at Christian Brothers. It looks like they've taken maybe another half a seat or so, really starting to press. Nobles, no doubt, holding that first place position. Christian Brothers going after the silver. Belmont as you come through this very last stretch, last 300-400 meters that you just maintain. So Christian Brothers for the silver, at least at the moment. Belmont Hill about a half a length or so back behind them. Nobles well on their way for the gold.
Yeah, you pointed out Marin. They're all the way up there in lane 1. They have pushed into 4th place. They kind of have been sitting in 5th or 6th all the way down the track. And so that connection that we had 4th, 5th, and 6th place is being won right now by Marin. But right now it's Christian Brothers. They're trying to close the gap on Nobles. 250 meters left for a national championship for Nobles out in front. They've got a length of open water back to Christian Brothers as Belmont Hill tries to put on a push to track down Christian Brothers. But those are your top three, and it is pretty spaced out. Marin is continuing to move up in lane 1, but they still don't even quite have a connection on that 3rd place boat, Belmont Hill. So here they come. These coxswains are letting their rowers know what they need to do. You've got in the 1st place position Nobles. They've got some open water back to Christian Brothers. Christian Brothers open water back to Belmont Hill as they get into the last 15 strokes for all 6 boats coming toward the line.
Look out for Marin. Marin on the hunt to get themselves onto the podium. Nobles well on their way for that gold medal. Christian Brothers have asserted themselves in that silver medal position. Belmont Hill holds it for the bronze, but look out for Marin. Marin charging. Belmont Hill continuing to hold that 3rd place position. Christian Brothers through the line for the silver. Belmont Hill solidifies the bronze, and then a nice surge from Row America Rye at the end. We'll have exact unofficial times and results up in just a moment, but Nobles with the gold, Christian Brothers for the silver, Belmont Hill for the bronze, and that's our men's youth cox sport.
Okay, welcome back to the 2021 U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta on ESPN as we have a start of this race. It's a women's youth 4 with coxswain. Lane 1 is Dayton, lane 2 San Diego, lane 3 Greenwich, lane 4 Row America Rye, lane 5 is CRI, and in lane 6 is Row New Jersey. And 2 years in the making for all of these athletes. You see coxswains laying down in the bows of the boats. What is a coxswain? The coxswain is an athlete in these boats that steers the boat, that motivates, that calls the race plan, sometimes they say the brains of the boat, but that's what these boats have going on. You've got 4 rowers and a coxswain laying down in the bow. Good early start here from lane 3 Greenwich.
Yeah, a nice start from Greenwich, and then a look then at the full field. That's Greenwich, bow number 3, just peeking out over Row America Rye, bow number 4. As they move through the first 250, we'll see if Greenwich is able to hold on to the speed. It looks like, in fact, they're building it, so a good start and starting to press away quick out of the gates. Of course, the race is long, so they'll need to pace themselves and have that strategy in order. Bow number 4, though, Row America Rye, decidedly running second, and then pretty tightly packed for third. You have CRI in the mix, San Diego out of lane 2, and Dayton out of lane 1. Greenwich leads through the first 500.
Very tightly packed field still. It is Greenwich deciding to take the early lead, and it is Row America Rye. They finished with the silver medal in this boat class 2 years ago at the previous installment of this regatta. They obviously are going to try to improve upon that. They're sitting still in that silver medal position as Greenwich comes through 500 meters with a full length ahead of Row America Rye. Row America Rye with half a length on those two red boats, CRI and San Diego. You see the times come through. They're going to be basically exactly the same, I think, are those two as they come through 500 meters. But it is, as we've sort of seen as a pattern, there is one boat that seems to want to go to the lead in each of these A finals so far. And in this A final, the women's Youth 4 with Coxon, so far early on, it's Greenwich.
Yeah, Greenwich with a nice advantage, and of course, we've seen some crews really get out ahead and continue to build their lead. That's been a theme in some of these events, but in others, you really pay for a fast start, right? You get through into the second 500 and really into the third 500, and if you've shot off the line but aren't able to sustain that, then the rest of the field will just sort of walk through you. So it's great to be first off the line. It's not absolutely necessary because it's a full 2,000 meters, and truly every stroke, every part of the race counts. To Greenwich's credit, though, they came off quick. They built speed in the first 500, and as we move through the second 500 and toward that halfway point, they have been able to hold. So we'll see if they can keep that momentum then into the third 500. A look at the rest of the field. Bow number 2 is San Diego in the red shell, and then it's Row America Rye. Greenwich not in the picture. So those two in contention for a silver medal.
They are, and they're exactly the same speed and have been for about 500 meters between San Diego and Row America Rye, and they have just traded that silver medal position back and forth over the last 500 meters. And then you're also seeing exactly or essentially the same speeds out of both Dayton and CRI in lanes 1 and 5. So we do see a chevron pattern here. You've got lane 3 out in front coming through 1,000 meters. You see that Greenwich's lead has swelled to almost a length of open water. And at that checkpoint, at the halfway point, you see it's a 0.3 of a second advantage for San Diego for that silver medal over Row America Rye. And then you see just how close it is, 4th and 5th place, CRI and Dayton. Not to forget about Row New Jersey in lane 6. They're going to be aided by the crowd as they come by the beach. But this is the race that's really going on, at least for the medals that are not solidified at the moment. And of course, anything can happen. And that is San Diego in the red shell at the top. That is Row America Rye in the white boat closer to the camera. And you can see it's just stroke for stroke as the coxswains look back and forth. And who's going to try to make the move? I suspect we're going to see one of them try to go right at or before the 500-meter point.
Yeah, San Diego had been running third at the 500, and they pushed themselves into that second place position just after the 1,000. We'll get a look at times as they approach 5 to go. They're now 750 meters to go. So San Diego building speed throughout the race, starting still to press away from Row America Rye. So Row America Rye has to decide to go. Now, we talked about the coxswains. This would be a pivotal moment for that Row America Rye coxswain to call something to keep her shell close to San Diego, because she can see that they're moving. The coxswain role just so unique. It's kind of like a jockey and a quarterback. So they're calling the play-by-play, steering the shell, pushing their rowers to let them know where they are and what they need to do. San Diego, though, able to push past Row America Rye, and it is Greenwich still running first. That's a look at what could be gold, silver, and bronze. Both of these crews, though, starting to push into Greenwich's lead.
Yeah, that's right. And San Diego is showing maybe the most speed in that third 500 of any of the boats as they come through 500 meters to go. You had Greenwich at 1,000 meters with a full length of open water advantage on the other two. It is now connection, it appears, San Diego latching on to the stern of Greenwich. Can San Diego continue to chip away in the last 500 meters and see if they can change it up front for the gold? But it's been Greenwich the whole track, and it is San Diego trying to go, and going with them is Row America Rye. Here comes San Diego. They continue to push. A lot of speed out of San Diego next to Greenwich. Can Greenwich figure that out? The rowers in the Greenwich boat can see. Can the coxswain see? Does she know in the Greenwich 4 that San Diego is charging?
And Greenwich continuing to hold, then approaching the final 250 meters. A nice overhead shot of their lead. Greenwich well on their way to solidify that gold medal, but they'll need to really work for it because San Diego has shown speed. They're continuing to press now into the last stretch, and Row America Rye keeping themselves right in the mix as well. That's looking like it could be first, second, third. Greenwich, San Diego, Row America Rye, but look out, San Diego, for Row America Rye. If they do put on a sprint, they're closing.
Gorgeous shot. You see the crowd. You see our island and finish line tower here at Nathan Benderson Park. It's a blue boat of Greenwich out in front, trying to go start to finish. They got the early lead. They built upon it. At 1,000 meters, they had a lot of open water. It's gotten a little bit closer because you see this tremendous push. San Diego really went at 500 meters. Now it's Row America Rye coming back and maybe trying to take that silver medal away from San Diego. Here we go. It's going to come down to the line, I think, for that silver and bronze medal. But it's going to be, and it was all the way down the race course, it's going to be Greenwich winning the women's youth 4 with coxswain and taking a national championship back to Connecticut. And it's going to be unofficially silver medal by a deck. San Diego ahead of Row America Rye, who will take the bronze. And then it's going to be CRI, Community Rowing of Boston, will finish in 4th place ahead of Dayton, and then Row New Jersey in that order unofficially. So more national champions, this time in the women's youth 4 with coxswain. It is Greenwich.
And you join us at the start of the men's youth quad, the A final, race for medals. It's Conestoga out of lane 1, Maritime lane 2, Malvern Preparatory School lane 3, Marin lane 4, Charlotte Youth lane 5, and Niskayuna lane 6.
So these are the quads. All 4 athletes each have 2 oars, 1 in each hand. It's a sculling boat. They go tremendously fast, almost as fast as the 8s. And generally very exciting for that reason. They're just gonna motor down this race course. 6 boats across yet again for a national championship in this men's youth quad boat discipline. The only one of these teams that was in the grand final in 2019 is Conestoga up there in lane 1, who took the bronze. But again, as we've talked about, 2 years separating the 2019 championships from this year's youth national regatta here at Nathan Benderson Park. Probably very little overlap in terms of the athletes, but to see some of these teams repeating and getting into that grand final is tremendous. You see lane 3, you see the full boat there. That is the gold boat of Malvern Prep, a very long history of very fast men's quads in this boat category. As all the athletes start to sit ready, we're getting ready to kick this one off. They're going to go fast. Don't blink. You'll miss it. It's the men's quad A final here at our 2021 U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta from Sarasota, Bradenton, Florida. Here they come.
Yeah, and it's a look then across the field. All of these boats get going fast, right? And of course the 8s we'll see later do too. But the quads are such a quick shell that you can see them just jet off the line. Bow number 2, that's Maritime with a nice start. Malvern Preparatory School as well. Those are 2 of our early leaders. And then looking like Niskayuna had a solid start as they move through the first 250. It's a good look then for Malvern Prep.
If you've ever rowed in a quad, especially if you come out of, like, you learn how to scull in a single and then you get into a quad, at least for me it was always wow, there's a fair amount of anxiety here because we are going so fast, and I don't want to make any mistakes as they come through to 50. It is Malvern Prep out in front of the boat from Maritime, also a very long history of very fast men's quads and medals at this youth regatta in this event. Trying to go also with them and connected with the top two boats is Conestoga in lane 1. And then lane 4, Marin appears to be ahead of Charlotte Youth and Niskayuna, sort of in that order as they approach the first 500-meter sign here, and we get our first times filtering through. So it's going to be to that first checkpoint, so to speak, Malvern Prep out in front.
Yeah, Malvern Prep holding, but keep an eye on Maritime. Looks like Maritime maybe starting to close just a little bit. It's 500 meters down, so the times will come in, but Malvern Prep not quite able to shake Maritime, so we'll keep an eye on Maritime to see what they have in the third 500, and then we see Conestoga running third, followed by Marin. So Malvern Prep, Maritime, Conestoga, Marin into the second quarter.
As they were coming through, and you see them here, perfect shot because I was watching Marin. They're very deliberate in terms of letting the boat glide at the finish of the stroke, and you can see them right there in the middle of the picture, those red blades, white boat. I feel like they're going to have another gear at some point because they're really letting the boat glide out underneath them, and they're rowing at a lower stroke rating than some of the adjacent boats that are going for the medals here. Coming in, you had Marin in lane 4, you had Malvern, who's out in front, in lane 3 as your semifinal winners. And so is Marin. I think we saw with Marin, they really had a very fast second half relative to the others in their semifinal. So is that pattern going to come back? Are we going to see it again here in the A final? They're sitting in third place, just slightly behind Maritime, but it's Malvern out in front by a length.
Yeah, and so we've lost Conestoga just a little bit out of lane 1, falling slightly off the pace. You see our 3 leaders then at the top of the field, Malvern Prep with the advantage, and then a look at Maritime and Marin where the battle is happening. We know that there's a slight advantage to Marin, but it's ever so close, with Maritime, but ever so close with Marin. They're moving now through the halfway point, so we'll get a look at times. The race is on for silver. If Malvern Prep can hold, then they'll take that gold medal, but it's Marin now running second, which puts Maritime in third.
Yeah, Marin with a fast second 500 has them at the halfway point, moving up into the silver medal position ahead of Maritime, and it does appear that the medals are sort of trying to shape up as you see the battle going on for the silver medal. And look how closely matched these two boats are, almost dropping in at exactly the same time are all 8 of these athletes. Marin closer to the camera, Maritime further from the camera, and that's what's going on. You saw the stroke man of the Marin boat. Every once in a while I see him just sort of catch a peek over there to the right and see what he might have to think about in terms of his stroke cadence. As you see a good shot there of Conestoga sitting in 4th place. As we start to see this boat move up, that's Charlotte Youth. They've got a bow number 7 bow car, but they're in lane 5. That is the Charlotte Youth program from Charlotte, North Carolina, sitting in 5th place. As we come down the track with this men's quad A final, and as they think about getting into the last 500 meters, is anybody going to be able to track down Malvern Prep? The boat that seems to be going and now has a connection is that boat from Marin, Colleen.
Yeah, Marin started moving and they didn't stop. They pressed past Maritime. As we saw at the last checkpoint, they were so close, but Marin was really starting to move. They've taken that momentum, they've carried it with them, and they've decided that now is the time to challenge Malvern Prep. And then we see bow number 2, that's Maritime, currently running third. So those are our 3 podium hopefuls at the moment. Malvern Prep will have to work hard to fight off a charging Marin as they close in on the last quarter of this race. They're through the 500 meters to go. Malvern Prep and Marin, and it looks like Marin may be just starting to put their bows ahead, less than 5 to go.
Oh, stroke for stroke, Marin. So up front, we finally have a battle here for the gold medal, at least in the last 500 meters. We haven't seen a whole lot of that so far this morning. As you saw, a little bit of maybe some steering issues going on in the Marin boat. Are they gonna lose any speed from that as Malvern starts to punch back now? So it's Malvern Prep in the gold boat. They are back to the lead ahead of Marin. Marin had it there for about 10 or 15 strokes. Does Marin have a punch that they can level back onto Malvern Prep? We've got a connected race up front for the gold medal. This is the men's youth quad, and it's awesome to see Marin, usually really fast in the 8s in the sweep rowing, seeing them here in the sculling. It's going to come right down to it. Finally, we've got this race up front. It is Malvern Prep. It is Marin for the gold medal. Who's it going to be?
Oh, Malvern Prep continuing to hold. Can Marin come back from that little bit of a steering glitch to take it? Malvern Prep holds. It is such a fight all the way to the line. Maritime still running third. The race is on for gold. Malvern Prep holds. Can Marin take it? Marin moving. Marin moving. It'll definitely be a photo finish. We'll have results up in just a moment. Incredible charge then from Marin just at the end. Maritime comes through to take third, take the bronze, and then we see Charlotte Youth coming through. It is Marin to take the gold. Marin able in the very, very last stretch to take it just from Malvern Prep, who then finishes second. Look
what is
at
that,
time.
7,000th of a second?
Incredible.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, we're back, and we're looking at 6 boats across for the Women's Youth Quad A final at our 2021 U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta. Hearts are beating down here at the finish line as we had such a close true photo finish in that last race. Hopefully we're going to see the same in this one. In lane 1, we have Long Beach Junior, lane 2, Cambridge, lane 3, Redwood Scullers, lane 4, Y Quad Cities, lane 5, Y Quad Cities B, and in lane 6, White Marsh. So you have 2 Y Quad Cities quads in this Women's Youth Quad Grand Final. To me, that's really not surprising given the team that we're seeing. You have Y Quad Cities, who has basically won or owned this event over the last 7 or so years at this U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta, and they did win it in 2019. And you had Redwood Scullers in lane 3. They got the silver medal in 2019, and yet again, it was 2 years ago, so we may not be seeing some of the same athletes or only a few of the same athletes, but you still have these 2 teams coming out at the top of the pack in terms of how they came through the previous rounds and into this grand final.
Yeah, Y Quad Cities loves the quad, this boat class, that's for sure. They're very proficient in it. And as David mentioned, they have been for years, including in 2019 with the championship. So 2 boats in lane 4 and 5 from Y Quad Cities. And then Redwood, Cambridge, Long Beach Junior, White Marsh, great depth of the field truly across the United States for this national championship. We see the boats just gaining their points. As we saw earlier, a little bit of a crosswind, and you can see it just blowing. So very, very fair conditions, but with a crosswind just means that you need to be very intentional about getting your point to ensure that you're going just ever so straight off the starting block and down the line.
And with this shot from overhead, you're seeing these boats get their points. You can see sort of in lane 3 that they're going to have to make a slight adjustment to get the boat around, or they've made sort of a slight overcorrection, knowing that the start sequence involves the starter calling out the names of every single one of the crews from what you're looking at right to left, but that's lane 1 on the far right, lane 6 on the far left when we get this shot from behind the boats at the start line. But this is as good as it gets. 6 boats across for a national championship. Here they come in the Women's Youth Quad. Who's going to want to take that early lead? And can we repeat what we saw in the Men's Youth Quad here at the finish line with the excitement that we just had? Good early start from really lanes 1 through 3. Long Beach Junior, Cambridge, and Redwood Scullers.
Yeah, it's a nice look at Redwood Scullers there, and just so tightly packed. So lanes 3 and 4, you can see Redwood and the Y Quad Cities A out of lane 4, really making a press out in the front. But it's Redwood starting to emerge just barely. I mean, half a deck or so. Cambridge with a quick start as well. That means Y Quad City starting to fall back just a little bit, and Long Beach. So Redwood, Cambridge, two of our emerging leaders in the first 250 meters.
So what I love from the HD cameras is if you're also not super well aware of rowing, you haven't been involved in the sport exactly, all of these boats have names, and you can see the Redwood Scullers boat is named the Mosquito, and you have the Y Quad Cities boat is named the Kraken, and those two are your semifinal winners. But throwing a punch here and trying to get out to the lead is lane 2 Cambridge Boat Club out of Boston. So they've thrown sort of the first punch, has Cambridge, in terms of coming into the first 500-meter checkpoint. They want to have their bow ahead, it appears.
Yeah, Cambridge with a nice press. They weren't necessarily the fastest off the line, but you don't have to be. It's all about building speed and then, of course, crossing first. So with 500 meters down, we see Cambridge just poking out, and they are currently leading now into the second quarter. It's the Y Quad Cities A running second and Redwood Scullers running third. Then it's back to Y Quad Cities B and over to Long Beach Junior and White Marsh.
What a shot, and you saw half a second separating the medals so far at 500 meters. So really it's possibly just kind of a reset. It looks like it's dead level up front now as Y Quad Cities A and that gold boat starts to move a little bit. Maybe now they have taken over the lead, maybe a seat ahead of Cambridge. Cambridge holding, though. They're holding their speed. You see the bows. Really, they're just back and forth. It's kind of one of those whoever is in the water is in the lead, as our cameramen give us the beautiful shot there of those two bows. They're just back and forth, and then that boat right in between them. You see the bow card 3. That is Redwood Scullers. We talked about it. They have the silver medal from this event 2 years ago. Coming through the 750, those 3 boats connected, but you've got at least 2 other boats. You've got the Y Quad Cities B, and you've got the boat from Long Beach. I even think White Marsh has a connection with the boat that's out front now, which looks like Y Quad Cities out of lane 4.
Yeah, look at Y Quad Cities go out of lane 4, starting to make a surge here and pushing past Cambridge into the second quarter of the race, hunting down that halfway point. That means that bow number 3, Redwood Scullers, starting to fall back a little bit as Y Quad Cities pushes themselves then into that position to take the lead. Cambridge will need to respond. So it's all about in the body of the race, being really nimble and really responsive to the extent that you can. So crossing then into the second half first, it is the Y Quad Cities A boat out of lane 4. Then it's Redwood Scullers now moving from second. Redwood Scullers running third, or really dead even with Cambridge. In fact, we see the times at the 1,000 so close between those two.
Truly so close for the medals. Y Quad Cities is starting to push out as they come through the halfway point and they get into this third 500. Is anybody going to be able to latch onto Y Quad Cities? As I said, they have sort of owned this event. Somebody's going to end up tweeting at me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they've won it like the last 5 years straight. And it is that gold boat of Y Quad Cities from Moline, Illinois. I think they're right on the border of Illinois and Iowa that's out in front, and they just have this very long pedigree of finding 4 extremely fast sculling rowers to put into this boat class, and they do have a length. But look at this race at 1250. Look at these bows, lanes 2 and 3. It's Cambridge and Redwood Scullers dead level, and do not count out Y Quad Cities B, as they have these 8 athletes here, and maybe we could see 2 medals for Y Quad Cities, as that boat is right there within striking distance as well.
Redwood Scullers starting to make a push. We could see their bow just emerging a little bit, and yes, the Y Quad Cities boat, the B boat, finding another gear out of lane 5. The Y Quad Cities A out of lane 4 continuing to lead, but look at that. Redwood Scullers doing everything they can to hold off a charging Cambridge. Both of these crews not quite able to break each other, so margins pretty consistent over the past couple of 100 meters between Cambridge and Redwood Scullers, and the same for Y Quad City B, so no one really able to break free. Redwood Scullers may be starting to do it, but they'll need to go now. Y Quad Cities A continues to lead.
We've got an unreal race shaping up for second through fourth place. We do have a commanding lead for Y Quad Cities of about 5 seconds with 500 meters to go to retain this trophy in the women's youth quad. But what's going to go on behind Y Quad Cities out in front? It is Redwood Scullers, it is Cambridge Boat Club, it is Y Quad Cities B. They're all still connected. And who's going to show the speed to try to take the silver medal? It is completely up for grabs as Y Quad Cities B starts to move closest to the beach in lane 5. They've gotten past Cambridge. They almost have it level with Redwood Scullers. Could we see Y Quad Cities taking a gold and a silver medal in this women's quad? 250 meters left to another championship for Y Quad Cities A in lane 4. Here comes Redwood Scullers punching back at Y Quad Cities. Here comes Cambridge Boat Club. Look at them, all three connected, probably separated by half a second as they come into the last 25 strokes.
Y Quad Cities tried to make a press, but Redwood Scullers responded. That means that Cambridge still in the mix, but just barely out of the medal stand. Redwood Scullers will need to hold and take it up. A charging Y Quad Cities B, doing everything they can to get that silver medal. That's the real race happening. Y Quad Cities A all the way out after the gold. Y Quad Cities B charging, and in fact, just barely able to overtake Redwood. What a race, David.
Here they come. It's going to be maybe a photo finish for that silver medal. It's Y Quad Cities B, maybe squeezing out a little bit more speed than Redwood right at the moment, but it's going to be another national championship for Y Quad Cities out of lane 4, and their teammates will take the silver medal unofficially by a deck over Redwood Scullers, who will have to settle for the bronze medal ahead of 4th place Cambridge Boat Club, 5th place White Marsh, and in 6th place finishing up Long Beach Junior. So unofficially, 8 athletes from Y Quad Cities are going to take home gold and silver medals in the women's youth quad from our 2021 U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta in Sarasota, Bradenton, Florida, and Nathan Benderson Park.
And a look then at the times from the quad. What a thrilling race it was, and a good day for Y Quad Cities, taking first and second their A and B boat, and then Redwood Scullers snagging the bronze, Cambridge running 4th, and White Marsh in 5th, and Long Beach Junior in 6th.
Something in the water there in Illinois has those women's quads so fast, and we're seeing it yet again this year in 2021. So the next race is going to be on the race course. You see the graphic if you are watching at home or on the Jumbotron here at our race course. It's going to be the men's youth 4-, which is called a straight 4 or just a 4. There's no coxswain in these boats, and I'll set the field for you as we get ready to get those men on our race course in lane 1. So furthest from the start line camera, the horizontal shot is Princeton National Rowing Association Mercer. Lane 2, Row America Rye. Lane 3, Greenwich. Lane 4, Oars. Lane 5, Sarasota Crew. And in lane 6, closest to the beach and the island coming down, is Maritime.
Lots of applause here at the finish tower for the race that's just concluded, the women's youth quad, that A final. So friends and family ready to receive them as they land. And you'll join us then back up at the start. Again, this is the men's youth straight 4 final A with PNRA, Mercer, Row America Rye, Greenwich, Oars, Sarasota Crew, and Maritime.
And this is Oakland Oars in lane 4, not to be confused with Orlando Oars. So we will know that it's the California Oars as you see the 3 boats in lanes 1 through 3 in your picture. On the right side of the screen, the gold boat, that's lane 1, PNRA Mercer. And then you see the full boat there, lane 2, that is a boat from Row America Rye. As we've talked about, Row America Rye, a very big team that is essentially in almost all of the events here at our 2021 U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta. Here we go as you see them leave the start line. This is a new event at our regatta. It is the straight fours. It's an exciting event. It's an Olympic event. There's a lot of history and tradition in this event. In many other countries, we're trying to make that history here in the United States as well, starting off these youth rowers with this new event here at our championships. Good early start from Greenwich in lane 3.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same, David. It's the Brits who have such a great history among other teams, but especially the British in this event, Great Britain. So wonderful to see this translate then down into the youth category and its important boat class. A look, though, at the start in the first 250 meters just as they cross through. It's a good start for Row America Rye, for Greenwich, for Oars, Sarasota Crew, that's bow 5, and then Maritime bow 6, right with the pack as well. Then on the far side, PNRA Mercer, but it's the middle lanes, 2, 3, 4, Row America Rye, Greenwich, and Oars with the fastest starts of the bunch, and Greenwich in particular.
Yeah, and as if they didn't want to confuse me, you can see on that lane 4 boat that is truly the Oakland Athletic Rowing Society. It's a little bit newer of a program, and they're already here in an A final in a center lane is that Oars boat, but it is a lead early here, maybe of about a deck for Greenwich in lane 3, but you can look just how closely spaced this field is, and it's still anyone's race as they come through, and we start to see the first times come through at 500 meters where they stand relative to one another as they charge at our overhead drone camera. And it is Greenwich starting to go. It's Oars going with them. It's Row America Rye, Sarasota Crew in that order, but only 2 seconds separating those top 4 boats. Everybody, I think, still with connection on your leader, which remains Greenwich in lane 3 in those light blue jerseys, but again, being paced by Oars in lane 4.
Yeah, it's a nice start for Greenwich. We'll see if they can build this momentum and have time shortly here as we approach the 500-meter down. Still very tightly packed Row America Rye out of lane 2, keeping themselves in it, but starting to lose pace with Greenwich. Greenwich pushing ahead, Oars staying with them. So Greenwich and Oars maybe starting to separate, but as we move through 750, Row America Rye then takes some kind of a power shift to really keep themselves in it. So we see Row America Rye and Oars, that's lanes 2 and 4, running just so level, and Greenwich starting to push away as they chase towards the 1,000.
Yeah, and we saw Sarasota Crew with speed in the second half, so take a look at them in lane 5. They are there in terms of within striking distance of medals, but right now it's Greenwich, and they're just sort of moving out a centimeter or 2 every time they drop into the water, and they kind of just continue to extend the lead a little bit. Awesome battle. Those are the medals at the moment, and you can see Oars out of Oakland. They are about a deck ahead of the third place boat right now, Row America Rye. And then on the far side, as they come through the 1,000, you see the gold boat. That's PNRA Mercer. And you can see Sarasota Crew maybe a deck ahead of PNRA Mercer for 4th and 5th, respectively, as they come through. And then it's Maritime closest to us in lane 6. They will get the crowd in their ears a little bit more than the other boats on the race course, as they will come closest to the beach as they come down. So will that help Maritime sort of get back into the mix? But I keep looking at Greenwich, and they keep sort of moving away just ever so slightly every time they drop in the water.
And so about a second or so separating each of these teams. So, of course, close, but not super close. We'll see if they tighten up these margins as we move towards the last 500-meter stretch. We see, though, a look. That's bow number 2, Row America Rye, and then a look at Oars out of lane 4. Margin's pretty consistent. Again, it's about a half length or so separating all of these crews, with Greenwich out in the lead. Greenwich, though, maybe the one exception, right? As we take a look, they've now moved themselves into a 1-length advantage and, in fact, breaking into open water. So everywhere else, things kind of staying the same. I'd say the one thing that's really happening is Greenwich starting to push.
I would agree. You still have connection here for silver and bronze, although Oars is starting to move away just slightly, I think, of Row America Rye. But connected with Row America Rye continues to be Sarasota Crew, it looks like, as well as PNRA Mercer. Will they be able to find speed in the last 500 meters and get into the medals picture as you start to see Mercer start to push in that gold boat? They very well might get into that medals picture if they can continue that momentum in lane 1. But out front it's Greenwich, and you saw they had about a couple of feet of open water at 500 to go, It is oars still in a very, very solid second place silver medal position out of lane 4, and they've got almost a length on that third place boat from Row America Rye. So will it tighten up, or will it sort of remain these margins as they get into the last 300 meters?
Greenwich holds. We saw them building speed over the last few hundred meters. Oars holding as well. The time is now for Row America Rye to go. They're being pushed a bit by PNRA Mercer, but not too much, although PNRA Mercer might have something up their sleeve in this last stretch to try to get themselves on the medal podium. Greenwich, no doubt, leading. Oars in that second place position, but it looks like the battle with Row America Rye now holding off PNRA Mercer might be starting to creep into oars. So oars will really have to solidify that silver medal. It is Greenwich, it is oars, it's Row America Rye. Look out though for PNRA Mercer.
Yeah, Mercer trying to track down Row America Rye for that bronze medal, but it is spaced out up front, and it continues to be Greenwich. They have half a length or almost a full length of open water on second place oars. It's Row America Rye starting to make it a little bit closer with oars, but I think they might run out of water to try to take that silver medal away from the men from Oakland. But it is going to be another gold medal for Greenwich Crew as they cross the line and win a national championship in the men's Youth 4 without coxswain here at our 2021 Youth National Regatta. Silver medal unofficially is oars, ahead of Row America Rye, PNRA Mercer, Sarasota Crew, and Maritime. So unofficially, that's your order of finish as you see the times start to filter through. But it's another big trophy and some gold medals to Greenwich Crew, this time in our new event, the men's straight 4.
The sport of rowing has a diversity problem, but there are programs around the world working to change that. Rowing Blazers and Wintec have partnered to design a boat that gives back. The racing shell features Wintec carbon construction, Rowing Blazers stripe on the deck, a custom interior, as well as a Rowing Blazers boat cover and sculling blades. For every boat sold, we'll be donating a boat to a rowing program focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives.
And welcome back. You join us at the start for the Women's Youth Straight 4A final. We just saw the conclusion of the Men's Youth 4. We'll now switch over to the Women's Straight 4. It's Newport Lane 1, Greenwich Lane 2, Row America Rye Lane 3, Miami Beach Lane 4, Row America Rye Lane 5, and PNRA Mercer Lane 6. So a lot of the same players here. Then moving into the Women's Youth Straight 4 event.
We do. We see Greenwich again. We see Row America Rye with 2 boats in this grand final. We see PNRA Mercer again in this boat class as well. Again, it's a new boat class at our Youth National Regatta, and it's an exciting boat class with, again, a lot of history. The Oarsome Foursome comes to mind. This is a category, this women's installment of this boat class that has been added to the Henley Royal Regatta in recent years. And I love this boat class, and I'm getting ready to watch what I think is going to be a very exciting first installment of this boat class at our Youth National Regatta. And again, it's very interesting to see that Row America Rye not only has 2 boats in this grand final, but technically the B entry from Row America Rye won their semifinal and is in that lane 3. And then you've got Miami Beach as the other semifinal winner in a bright blue boat in lane 4. As you see all the athletes start to sort of sit ready, make sure that they have their boats on the correct point, and we look for alignment of every single one of the bows horizontally down the start line. So that's what's going on at the start line. And what you're seeing on the picture there is lane 6 on the left, lane 5 on the right, those are the center lanes, it appears. Then you got Miami Beach on the left in lane 4. And you have on the right Row America Rye B in lane 3.
So we should have a start here then any minute. You can see that the blades are locked and underwater. This is another boat that's a bit tricky to steer, not quite as challenging as the pair which we saw earlier, but still takes just a lot of skill to be that bow person and steer the shell down the line. For now, though, we have a start. This is the start of the Women's Youth Straight for a final and a quick start across the board. Row America Rye definitely came out of the gate pretty quick out of lane 5. We'll get a sense of margins as they come through. And a nice overhead shot, pretty tightly packed here coming off the line, and a good start for Newport as well.
Yeah, a good start here from Miami Beach is kind of what I typically see. In terms of seeing these Florida crews out here all the time. Miami Beach typically has a quick start. It does look like going to the lead maybe is Row America Rye in lane 5, the A boat, just slightly there for a couple strokes, and as quickly as I could get that out of my mouth, you've got it tightening up again with the other Row America Rye boat and Miami Beach. So it's almost not worth calling. We're so early into the race, 200 meters into this new race at our Youth National Regatta, the women's straight 4 or 4 without coxswain. 4- if you're looking at it on paper, and all 6 boats are connected. You see that picture of all 6 boats. They are all still connected through 250 and approaching that first sort of checkpoint with the times of 500 meters. It's Miami Beach. It's the 2 Row America Rye boats that are all kind of duking it out up front.
Yeah, a little bit of trouble out of lane 5 in the Row America Rye boat with steering. Of course, they're still well within their water and in their lane. But as mentioned, it can just be really tricky because you don't want to overcorrect to one side or the other. Looks like they've figured that out, and they now have a nice straight line coming through. Looking then across, though, at their teammates, Row America Rye B out of lane 3, starting to press ahead, and then just a nice shot. We see that blue bow crossing through of Miami Beach, and we'll get a sense of times here at the first 500. It was Miami Beach to get there first, then the Row America Rye B, then the Row America Rye Shell over to Greenwich, then at Newport and PNRA Mercer.
So about a deck lead at 500 meters for Miami Beach. As we getting these overhead shots, we're talking about the steering. You're kind of seeing these boats, really all of them sort of touching almost every part of the lane as they come down, and they're really just trying to find a rhythm, and they're trying to find evenly matched power on both sides to try to find that straight line. But it is the bright blue boat of Miami Beach out in front, maybe a half a length now. And then it's really just deadlocked the 2 boats from Row America Rye. Obviously, all of these athletes on the same team, they know each other. They're probably very close friends, and they practice with each other and next to each other all season long. And this is coming down to it, and they're both in medal position. We saw earlier Y-Quad Cities take 2 medals in the women's quad. It's not unheard of to see 2 medals. It happens infrequently, but if you think about it, and you've got one of the fastest boats in the country in a boat class, and you've got another one that's very close, that's exactly what we're seeing here with a half a length lead for Miami Beach, and then you've got essentially deadlocked the 2 boats from Row America Rye. And then in 4th place at the moment, it looks like Greenwich, just ahead of too close to call Mercer and Newport.
Yeah, Row America Rye out of lane 5 has figured out that steering, and that's really helped them. They're now pacing each other on either side of Miami Beach. So Miami Beach will need to keep an eye because that battle is on, and you can see the Row America Rye boats just starting to press in. For the past 30 or so strokes, margins have been pretty consistent amongst these 3 leaders, but we can start to see Row America Rye maybe just starting to press in. Miami Beach, though, with the lead, not by too much as we cross into the second half. It's the Row America Rye B boat still running second, and the Row America Rye A running third. Those are our 3 medal contenders getting pretty tightly packed at the front.
It is, and as you saw the camera pan there just at the end, you see Greenwich now getting into the mix in lane 2. Greenwich is connected with Row America A in lane 5, who's sitting in the bronze medal position. And up front, really trying to take a charge, trying to put a move into it, is Row America Rye B, trying to close the gap on Miami Beach. Seeing the Miami Beach bowwoman look to her right and realize that that's happening. Is she verbalizing anything to her teammates? I'm not sure. But it is Miami Beach. They are trying to go start to finish. Maybe in the first 500 we had a little bit of jockeying for that gold medal position. but through the center of this race course, it has been Miami Beach as they come through 1250, but they are really going to have to do everything they can to hang on to this gold medal is Miami Beach as they start to push back on Row America Rye B in that white boat just above them on the picture. And you keep seeing that bow on the left side of the screen. That's Row America A in lane 5, connected with both boats. There was a big push there from Greenwich, but maybe they have dropped back. Maybe they have lost connection with those medalists up front. I think this one's going to be very exciting in the last 500 meters, as we've seen. Is it going to be exciting all the way up front? Is Miami Beach going to be able to hang on? And what permutation of the medals are we going to see as they come into the last 500?
Miami Beach holds and, in fact, is able to punch back a little bit to Row America Rye B. We'll see if Row America Rye B has another gear to go to out of lane 3. The Row America Rye shell out of lane 5, still connected but decidedly in bronze. The question then becomes, will Row America Rye out of lane 3 be able to find another level to pull themselves even with Miami Beach? And we see that they've managed to get maybe a little bit of distance. Miami Beach just a touch, about maybe a half a seat or a seat or so away from Row America Rye. It's less than 500 meters to go. Miami Beach continues to lead. Now is the point of the race that you're maybe thinking about sprinting early if you're that close and you're the Row America Rye shell, and if you're Miami Beach and you know that you need to hold them off. The race is on as they approach the final 300, almost 250 meters. Miami Beach holds. Row America Rye not quite able to break them.
No, but it is Miami Beach that was at 38, even coming through with 500 meters to go, and I had Row America Rye at 35. So will that be a factor? Does Row America Rye have another gear that they can shift to in terms of the strike rate to try to track down Miami Beach as it gets closer up front? And I think that's exactly what might be happening, but it still is Miami Beach in that blue boat. They have 25 strokes to glory and a national championship in this new event, the Women's Youth Straight 4 at our 2021 U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta in Sarasota. It is Miami Beach. They're hanging on to it. They want to take that new trophy, brand new trophy, back and put their names on it for the first time of any crew, and they're going to maybe hang on. It's 10 strokes to the line for Miami Beach to try to hold off Row America Rye B, charging in lane 3, making it close. It's going to come right down to it yet again for the gold medal. Is Row America Rye going to pick them off here in the last 5 strokes as they come right down to it? To my eye, I think they did it. I think Row America Rye B just edged out Miami Beach in those last 20 strokes to take the gold medal away. Heartbreak for Miami Beach there, and just an unbelievable last 20 stroke push from Row America Rye B to just edge out Miami Beach for the gold medal, as Row America Rye A takes the bronze ahead of, it looks like, Greenwich, Mercer, and finishing up Newport. Wow, what a finish.
Yeah, an incredible push from Row America Rye there right at the end in the last 20-30 strokes or so. And you join us back at the start line for the men's Youth 8s, moving into the big boats. Final A at Sarasota Crew out of lane 1, Greenwich lane 2, PNRA Mercer lane 3, St. Joseph's Prep lane 4, Row New Jersey lane 5, and Newport lane 6.
So it's the men's Youth 8, and then we will have the women's Youth 8, the biggest, fastest boats at our regatta, getting ready to charge out of the stake boat and get on the race course. And you got your lineup there from Colleen. We have a lot of firepower here in this A final. You have your 2018 champ in this boat class, Sarasota Crew, up there in lane 1, and they also finished second at our last installment in 2019. You have Greenwich Crew in lane 2. They won the bronze medal in 2019. You have your 2017 champion from this water here in Sarasota in lane 6. That's Newport, who was in just an amazing battle all the way down the course with Oakland Strokes that year. And you've got Mercer, who won the silver medal in the 4, trying to decide that they want to win the gold medal here in the 8 instead. And your 2 semifinal winners are in lanes 3 and 4. It's PNRA Mercer and St. Joe's Prep. Prep in lane 4, winning their semifinals. So here we go, getting ready to kick it off in the men's Youth 8. Here they come.
It's a quick start off the line, very tightly packed. We'll have an eye for early leaders. Looks like it's a good move from, truly tightly packed. A nice start from Row, New Jersey. We see the bow of St. Joe's Prep starting to break out. Greenwich going with them. Very early in the first 250 meters, St. Joseph Prep making it known that they want that lead in the first 500 meters. So an aggressive first 250 in their starting sequence, then starting to lengthen, not quite yet, but just about into their base cadence. A good press for St. Joe's Prep, but still very, very tightly packed. They have a bit of an advantage, and then it's over to Greenwich lane 2.
Well, it's stroke rating. It's 45 strokes a minute for Prep off the line to get out to the lead. Do not blink. You'll miss it. 250 down already. These boats are going to go sub 6, I think, in these conditions. It's St. Joe's Prep out in front. And trying to go with them is PNRA Mercer. The 3 boats on your picture is Mercer, the gold boat, far left. And then you saw also Row, New Jersey in lane 5 from Mount Arlington, New Jersey. But it's the burgundy jerseys there of Prep. This is a scholastic team. It is not a club team. It is a high school in the Philadelphia area. And those men are going to lead this field, it appears, to the 500-meter point. It's Prep out in front. You can see their advantage. It's 3/4 of a length. And wow, is it close between Row, New Jersey and that blue boat of Greenwich. Everybody is still there, probably 3 or 4 seconds separating all 6 boats, Colleen, as they come through. But it's Prep early.
Yeah, Prep making it known in the first 500. Those were times at the first quarter that they're looking to make that early advantage as they now look towards the 750-meter mark. Beautiful overhead shot there. That's Prep out in the middle, holding onto the lead. That's Greenwich out of lane 2. And then the battle is on for third. Row, New Jersey and PNRA Mercer coming through the 500 at exactly the same speed. So we'll keep an eye on them. Prep doing everything they can out of lane 4 just to push the rest of the field back. And that's exactly what they've done then as we look through the 750 now and towards that 1,000-meter mark. Prep out in front, Greenwich out of lane 2 sticking right with them, and then that's bow number 5, Row, New Jersey, walking away from PNRA Mercer.
Is Prep going to get back to the top of the podium at Youth Nationals? They're going to lead this field to the halfway point. It's Prep in lane 4, that gold boat. Burgundy jerseys that you're seeing there, the 2-man with that blue hat, you can see their advantage. It is that boat in lane 2, the blue boat, that's Greenwich. They are right there with Row, New Jersey in lane 5, who wasn't quite in that picture. Those 2 boats are essentially dead level for silver and bronze. Starting to push now is Mercer. I'm seeing that boat move up just a little bit in lane 3, the other gold boat on the race course. It's Sarasota Crew up in lane 1, sitting in 5th place, just ahead of lane 6, Newport. So as they come through halfway and we reset the field, it is about 4 or 5 seconds separating the entire field, even though Prep is out by 1.5 seconds. So they're going to try to hang on. They're in the driver's seat. That coxswain is going to look back every once in a while in that Prep boat and say, look, you are getting into the last 800, 700. You're winning the national championship, as we start to see a big move now from Row, New Jersey in lane 5.
Yeah, Row, New Jersey moved from 3rd into 2nd at that last checkpoint. St. Joseph's Prep continuing to hold on to the lead, but we see the bow number 5 of Row, New Jersey starting to press Greenwich out of the picture. It was so close between Greenwich and PNRA Mercer as they moved through that last point. Can St. Joseph's Prep hold on to it? Looks like they're very, very determined to do so, but Row, New Jersey will do everything they can to pull up level. Greenwich with a little bit of an answer. Is it enough? We see Row, New Jersey just look over their shoulder, but St. Joseph's Prep not quite a full length, about 3/4 of a length advantage as they charge towards that 500-meter mark.
These athletes are feeling the pain. You could see when we had that side shot, you're seeing grimaces. This is the third 500. They're getting into that last 500 where they're going to get another shot of adrenaline. It still remains Prep. It is Row, New Jersey, but Row, New Jersey starting to be tracked down by everyone else in the field. PNRA Mercer is pushing, Greenwich pushing, Sarasota Crew up there in lane 1 trying to push. And then it is still Newport in lane 6. Maybe they'll get a push from the crowd. As you come through, you see the times. It's Mercer and Greenwich dead level for that bronze medal. It's Row, New Jersey still sitting in second place, and everybody continues to trail Prep. I saw the grimace on the stern pair in the Prep boat, but they continue to remain out front. Nobody is touching them at the moment as they approach the last 250. It's Prep ahead of Row, New Jersey. It's Mercer sitting in third place, starting to push ahead of Greenwich. It's Sarasota Crew at the very top, Colleen. Here they come, last 250.
St. Joe's Prep holds on to that gold medal place position. Row, New Jersey holding on to the silver place position. We saw just how tight the race was for silver. Bit of an answer from PRNA Mercer and starting to walk a little bit away from Greenwich. Greenwich out of lane 2. Prep holding on to that gold medal position again by about 3/4 of a length or so over Row, New Jersey. PNRA Mercer, though, on the move. Can they challenge Row, New Jersey? No doubt about it. Prep fans will be thrilled to see that boat about to capture the national championship in the men's Youth 8. Row, New Jersey, PNRA Mercer as they come charging down the line.
Wow, and it's even dead level for fourth place up there in lanes 1 and 2, but it's going to be Prep. They're going to win the national championship in the men's Youth 8. And they're going to do it by half a length over Row, New Jersey, who will finish half a length ahead of PNRA Mercer as Sarasota Crew finds a charge there to finish fourth, just ahead of Greenwich and Newport. But it's the men from St. Joe's Prep as you see the exuberance from that boat as they win a national championship in the men's Youth 8. And we get ready to send it back for our women's Youth 8 boat class, and we get ready to set that field for you. Just so much excitement. The crowd is packed down here, Colleen. We're hearing them, and probably the most viewers that we're going to have are viewing at home just simply because there's more athletes in these boat classes, these 8s. So if you're watching at home, a thrilling race start to finish there for St. Joe's Prep. They hung on to it, and they're going to take that trophy back to Philadelphia with them from the men's Youth 8.
And a look then at the unofficial times of the race that we just saw go through. A great effort from all of these teams. Prep, Row, New Jersey, and PNRA Mercer taking gold, silver, and bronze in that order.
All right, the next race that we will have for you as they are lined up is the women's installment of this boat class, the 8s. It's the women's Youth 8 grand final. In lane 1, furthest from the camera shot right now, is Rose City out of Portland, Oregon. Lane 2, CRI, Community Rowing of Boston. Lane 3, Greenwich Crew out of Connecticut. Lane 4, Row America Rye out of Rye, New York. Lane 5, Mount St. Joseph out of Pennsylvania, I think the Philadelphia area. And in lane 6, we have Chicago. Greenwich took the silver medal 2 years ago. They're in lane 3. They won their semifinal. Can they turn their silver medal into a gold medal? You can bet they will be challenged by everybody else in the field here at our A final of the Women's Youth 8 at our 2021 U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta. Looks to my eye, Colleen, like we're still looking for slight alignment, and then we'll probably get this thing kicked off.
Yeah, so not quite sitting up at the start. Again, once the blades are underwater, we know that we'll really have a start underway at any moment. So it means they're just still adjusting their points. Big powerhouse programs, of course, exactly what you would expect in an A final for the Women's Youth 8. Rose City, that's a look at Rose City in bow number 2, the red shell of community rowing out of Boston, Massachusetts, CRI. Always known for their performance in the 8 in the head of the Charles, their home course. We see them just tapping it around. Then it's a look at Greenwich out of lane 3. So these athletes, again, not quite with all of their blades locked in. So still a few seconds from the start. Over to lane 4, that's Row America Rye, who's had a great regatta all weekend across all kinds of boat classes and teams and athletes. It's Mount St. Joe's out of lane 5. Again, another program known for their women's 8s in particular, so we'll have an eye on them. And then we'll pan over and have a look at Chicago out of lane 6. So these athletes then sitting up at the front. You see a couple of hands in the air. That's the coxswains adjusting their points to get that line just right. Little bit of a crosswind, as we said, so they'll scold around to get the point.
Yeah, these boats may look the same to you if you're watching at home, but I think we might have 6 different boat manufacturers here in this women's Youth 8 final. So if you're working for one of those companies, you certainly have a dog in this fight as we get alignment and we get ready to roll in the women's Youth 8. We have all of these athletes sitting at the front, their blades buried in the water, and we're getting ready to go, going from a dead stop to as fast as possible, and here they come.
And it looks like we may have to restart the race. We'll see if they call it in just a moment or if they'll continue going. If you are not ready, here we go. So they'll call it. So pretty smart move, actually. It looks like that's Mount St. Joe's. If you're not ready, you don't leave the starting block. And so, for example, if you're the coxswain and you're gaining your point and everyone else takes off and you're not in a straight position, if you feel like it's an unfair start for your crew, you'll make the gutsy move to say don't go when they call. So at this point, we can see she's a bit tangled in this buoy line. So that's a mature race move, in my opinion. David and I are both former coxswains, so I'm sure we have an opinion on that. She told her crew not to go, and she wants to make sure that she has a fair start, so they'll go back to the starting block.
Yeah, and so likely what will happen is they will be assessed a warning, and as long as they don't get another warning, it will be completely fine for Mount St. Joseph, but everybody else is going to have to get back into the start dock, and we'll get ready to kick this off. So not a false start. That's not what that's called. That basically was just I don't think that I have my course. I don't think that it's going to be fair for my crew at the start, so we're not going to go. And so that's well within the rules to do it. We don't see it a lot. I think the last time we saw it in these 8s at Youth Nationals is Sarasota crew in Oak Ridge many years ago. So they'll get back into the blocks, and we'll throw it to a commercial in the meantime.
Attention.
And we'll come back up to the start then of the Women's Youth 8, the A final. So we see that these boats then locked back into their starting blocks. They'll readjust for their points. They'll make sure again that they're pointed in a position that is safe and that is fair. And so a job that is not super easy when the wind's pushing you around a little bit. It's quite calm up there at the front. but we saw in the last round that they were not all pointed in a fair position, at least from the perspective of Mount St. Joe's. So they're back in the starting blocks, and we should have a race underway any moment.
Again, the worst outcome under the rules of rowing for Mount St. Joseph is that they might have been assessed a warning. We can't hear the starter, so we don't know whether that happened, but realistically, as long as there is a clean start here, there will be no penalty of any kind for Mount St. Joseph or anyone else. And when that happens, and these starts happen where essentially you had every other boat go through the first 10 or so strokes. Not only is it sort of practice, but maybe it gets some of those butterflies out, Colleen, that were there, knowing that you're pulling in. You've waited 2 years for this race. You've gotten yourself into this grand final of the Women's Youth 8, and there's probably a lot of nerves in there. I know that there always were for me in a big race. And maybe those nerves are a little bit gone in some of those boats because they've already had a chance to sort of feel what it's going to feel like off the start.
Well, I think for the crews that had a great start, it's a little bit of a frustration to then come back and have to do it again. But the crews maybe that didn't have the start that they wanted now get a second chance. They're polling the crews, though, so we'll have a start underway in just a moment. So they'll poll the names of the crews, and then they'll be off. We see them sitting ready at the front. And we have a start. It's Rose City, CRI, Greenwich, Row America, Mount St. Joseph's, and Chicago off the line. All of them fast and furious. Looks like it's a good start for Greenwich. That's no surprise. We'll get a look here then as they come through their starting sequence and their early strokes and an overhead shot then. It is Greenwich. It's a look at Row America. We have CRI on the far side, ever so tightly packed through the first 200.
Yeah, a lot of colors, a lot of commotion, and it's a lot of speed in this Women's Youth 8. Everybody's still in the picture here, all 6 boats across, all right in the mix. Very early, it was a nice start from CRI. I think they've been tracked down now by Greenwich and Row America Rye. As you see those 2 boats, the semifinal winners start to move to the front just a little bit away from Mount St. Joe's, all the way on the right side there in lane 5, and CRI in the red boat on the left. We've got so many different colors, so many different teams. You've got a purple boat, a black boat, a gray boat, a blue boat, a white boat, and a red boat. They're all different colors, which helps us out when we're watching this beautiful HD picture that we're transmitting to you here on ESPN. But look at this race. It is so close early between these 2 that are going at it in the center of the race course. Closer to us in that gray boat, that is Row America Rye, and just above them in that blue boat is Greenwich.
Greenwich on the charge, Row America right with them. A lovely overhead shot here as they move through the first quarter of the race. Greenwich quick out of the gate as they move through 500 to go, though. Row America Rye may well just have edged them. We'll get a sense of times in just a moment. Indeed, it is Row America Rye running first. It's Greenwich just barely running second. Of course, that can change in a blink, and then it's back to CRI, who's moved themselves up. They're now running third.
I think it did change. Every time we open our mouths, it seems to change, and that's what we got going on up front. So this is a little bit of a different pattern. We are seeing those semifinal winners both go to the front of the field. It's becoming a little bit of a match race between Greenwich and Row America Rye up front. And then look at this, probably a second separating the other 4 boats for the bronze medal early on in this race. That's Rose City, CRI, Mount St. Joseph, and Chicago. As we get this gorgeous picture from above, on the left side of the screen, that's Greenwich. They've gone to the lead pretty commandingly here. As they came through 500 meters, they put on a push. They took a couple seats on the boat that's on the right. That's Row America Rye sitting in the silver medal position. And that is what we're looking at up front. Can Row America Rye hold the connection? Can they make it a match race for the gold medal? Can they make sure that Greenwich doesn't continue to sort of move away from them? That's going to be the task ahead of Row America Rye in this middle 1,000 as we start to see a big push all the way over in lane 6 from Chicago. Again, they finished 5th in this boat class at our 2019 championships, and they are sitting, I think, in the bronze medal position, just maybe slightly ahead of CRI.
Yeah, it looks like Chicago maybe edging out CRI for that podium still early on in the race as these crews advance towards the halfway point and towards the 1,000. No doubt about it, though, as you see here, it is Greenwich leading at that halfway check mark. It is Row America Rye running second, and indeed Chicago putting themselves in a bronze medal position. CRI right on their tail. Greenwich opening up their lead now into the third 500.
They are opening up the lead. This is a little bit similar in terms of seeing one crew go out to the front that we've seen in a lot of these A finals. But Row America Rye is not losing touch. You see that bow of Row America Rye. You see the bow card 4. It's just kind of right on the 6th woman in the Greenwich boat. So there is solid connection. And I'm watching that coxswain in the Row America Rye boat. She really has one boat to focus on, and that's that Greenwich boat. And she's going to say, all right, let's take a little move here. And maybe it's a mental thing. Maybe it's not even what we would call a power 10. Maybe it's look, let's just find a little speed. Maybe calling out a particular rower or pair of rowers in that 8 to try to find speed and to try to latch on to Greenwich, who is starting to maybe then again move away as they come through 1250. It's Greenwich in the gold medal position. It's Row America Rye in the silver medal position. It continues to be Chicago just ahead of CRI for bronze.
Row America Rye keeping contact on Greenwich, but of course Greenwich and Row America Rye starting to break away from the rest of the field. We see the Greenwich coxswain just look over her shoulder to see how close Row America Rye is and if they're becoming a threat for the gold. Currently about 1 length or so separating these two crews. The race is on for bronze just behind them. We saw Chicago with an advantage, but CRI right on their tail. In fact, CRI starting to make a real effort to get back into that podium position. Consistent margins, though, between Greenwich and Row America Rye as they move through. This is 500 meters to go. It's Greenwich by a good 3 seconds. Chicago holding that bronze, but just barely over CRI.
A little bit more spaced out as they come through the last 500 meters. It's a blue boat of Greenwich, top left of your screen. If you're watching at home, they are in the lead. And you can see their lead is about a full length on Row America Rye. You are correct, Colleen. Here comes CRI. CRI in the red boat is making it extremely close for the bronze medal with Chicago, who's just out of the picture, bottom left in the black boat in lane 6. Row America Rye maybe even finding a little speed to get into Greenwich, but I don't know if they're going to have enough water to track down this full length advantage for Greenwich. They are certainly going to try. Is Row America Rye going to be able to close the gap? Here comes Greenwich into the last 250 meters. You saw the buoys change to red. It is Greenwich in the gold medal position. It is Row America Rye in the silver medal position. It's still Chicago, maybe 3 feet over CRI for bronze.
Greenwich up at about 38 strokes per minute as they come into the final stretch, chasing that gold medal in the women's youth 8. It's Greenwich. They've held. They had a strong start. They've been able to hold off Row America Rye. And again, the battle is on between Chicago and Community Rowing from Boston for 3rd. Greenwich, though, into their final few strokes, holding on to what will be, what could be a gold medal. Row America Rye right behind them. Will it be Chicago? Will it be CRI? And it's Greenwich then through the line. Row America Rye coming through. Chicago able to maintain that bronze medal position. It's CRI then coming through for 4th. Mount St. Joe's coming through in 5th. Then Rose City to take 6th. It was Greenwich from the start, built momentum through the body. They captured the gold medal to win the women's youth 8 unofficially. And then Row America Rye taking 2nd. Chicago able to hold on to that bronze medal with CRI finishing 4th.
The fastest youth women's 8 national championship Greenwich crew ahead of Row America Rye in Chicago unofficially for the medals. CRI just edged out there by Chicago in the last 500 meters for that bronze medal. So that was the last, we have one more A final. That was the last of the 8s. That was the women's youth 8 grand final at our 2021 U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta from Nathan Benderson Park in Sarasota, Florida. As you see the start list come up for the last of our A finals or grand finals for a gold medal and a trophy and the title of national champion. It's going to be the women's inclusive doubles, and it's going to be a match race between lane 3 as you see them backing in. Lane 3 is Texas Center, and in lane 4 is Stewart's Foundation from up the road in Tampa, Florida.
And just backing into their stake boat now, Texas Center. Stewart's Foundation locked in. Texas Center out of Austin, Texas, Texas Rowing Center. So dual race, different format, of course, than what we've seen for the rest of the morning, but have seen this in certain finals yesterday with 2 boats. So different strategy, just one competitor that you kind of need to keep an eye on, and even more important in some ways to get out of head and lead early on, so that you can really have an eye on your competitor, because once they're behind you, it's just difficult to know what that margin is, how close or far away you are.
Yeah, and it's awesome to see a new event, to see this inclusive double event here at our 2021 U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta. The first time that we have had it, and great to see that we have 2 competitors here that are going to go for a national championship in this inclusive event. It is a double, so each of these rowers have 2 oars. It's a sculling event, and here they go in this match race. It is Stewart's Foundation closer to the camera. Further from the camera is Texas Center. Those are your 2 boats as they come off, and it looks like both boats with good clean starts. You see those stars, the Texas flag on the unisuits and the blades of that Texas Center boat up there in lane 3. And then closer to us, you see the stripes, the vertical stripes as they drop in the water of Stewart's Foundation in lane 4. And there's both still connected. Hopefully we continue to have this connection all the way down the track. Maybe we get some back and forth racing between these 2 crews here in this women's inclusive double.
About a 3/4 length advantage for Stewart's Foundation. Again, local favorite. Not quite breaking into open water yet. Still pretty early on, but it looks like they're moving and they are on their way to do that. Texas, though, not letting them get away 250 meters into the race. And as we've said, the first 250 is really all about coming out of the starting block, getting the boat up to speed, moving as fast as possible, and then right around this moment in the race, athletes will lengthen out into a more sustainable base cadence for that full 2,000 meters. They'll, of course, pick it back up at the end for their sprint, but this is really when you settle into the body of the race, and we can see that's exactly what these 2 teams have done. Stewart's Foundation then, with the first time of an open water advantage, still into the first quarter, so we'll track times at about 500 meters down, but Stewart's Foundation continuing to move.
Stewart's Foundation about 30 strokes a minute, about 33 for Texas Center. So when we talk about that, that's the strike rate. That's how many strokes they're taking per minute as they come down our race course and they approach the first 500-meter sign. And we get some split times on this, again, new event, the women's inclusive double here at our 2021 U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta. And it's going to be about a length advantage early. So through the first 500 meters, it is Stewart's Foundation with that length advantage. The length in this boat class only being about 3 seconds. As you see that Nathan Benderson Park building there, that's the end of that building is right at about 600 meters in our 2,000 meter race course. And it's starting to see Texas move into and grab connection here with the boat from Stewart's Foundation. So a little move put on by Texas, maybe at 500 meters to find a little bit more boat speed and get themselves back in the mix. So really Texas not at all fading relative. In fact, maybe just finding a little more speed. You look at the bow, it's starting to sort of inch into Stewart's Foundation every time the women in the Texas boat drop in and take a stroke. And those are your 2 boats as it gets closer up front, Colleen.
About 33 or so strokes per minute for Texas Center, so certainly somewhere to go. They've been able to take back a bit of margin over the last several hundred meters, so we saw Stewart's Foundation with a bit of an early lead to open up that margin, and Texas Center a little bit more patient, but now able to close the gap a bit as we move through 750 meters down. So back to that overlap position, and means, of course, that there's still time as we close in and prepare to enter into the second half of the race for Texas to put themselves in that national championship position. So Texas moving, you can see them starting to pull a little bit more level with Stewart's Foundation. We'll see if Stewart's Foundation has an answer as we get ready to close in halfway. A nice push from Texas over the last several hundred meters.
This is a really great race, Colleen, as Texas starts to come back. We don't always see that in match racing. necessarily, especially if somebody has just sort of like a devastating start and gets open water. Sometimes it's hard for the crew that's trailing to ever get connection back with that crew. We've had connection the whole way through 800 meters with these two boats just going at one another sort of stroke for stroke all the way down the course as it gets a little bit closer. As to my eye, every single time Texas drops in, they're kind of taking maybe an inch here as they come through the halfway point. You see the times come through. So it was 3 seconds at 500 meters. It's now down to 1.1 seconds separating the two boats. So Texas with the faster of the second 500s of the two boats. And look at this up front. Now it is basically stroke for stroke. So Texas, their race plan obviously was to just stay there in the first 500, and now they're starting to assert power and find more speed than Stewart's Foundation as they come through into this third 500.
That's right. Texas takes it up about a half a beat or so. They had a nice second 500-meter stretch. Weren't necessarily the fastest out of the gate or in that first starting sequence, first 250 or 500, but that doesn't quite matter because there's lots of water to be had and places to make your move. They took speed in the second 500. They're carrying it with them into the third 500, starting then to just potentially pull ahead of Stewart's Foundation. We'll get a sense of times a little bit later on, but really making this quite the race for us. We saw only separated by about a second at that halfway point. They're now mid-third 500. We see the 750 mark to go. So closing in on the last stretch of the race, we see Texas take another kind of a shift again. So again, a lot of trust to have that type of race plan. They now are decidedly with the advantage. Coming off the line, they likely knew that they were going to go somewhere in the mid-second 500 and they'd carry that momentum with them. That's exactly what they've done. So it'll take quite the answer for Stewart's Foundation. They're still connected. Stewart's Foundation can do it, but Texas on the move and starting to almost break into clear water.
Extremely interesting race. So at 500 meters, it was 3 seconds for Stewart's Foundation. At 1,000, it was 1 second for Stewart's Foundation. At 500 to go, the 1,500 meter point, it's going to probably be about 2 or 3 seconds here for Texas. So flipping the script and just kind of slowly moving through that quick start of Stewart's and just taking more and more water every time these women drop in the Texas inclusive double. And that's what we're seeing as they come through, and we're going to see those times come through as they hit the 1,500 meter point. And it is about 4 seconds now for Texas. So with the fastest third 500 there was Texas. They also had the fastest second 500, but Stewart's Foundation had the fastest first 500. And that type of racing is not typically what you see. We saw a lot of races this morning, a lot of the A finals, where there was one boat that was the fastest at every 500 meter point. And we see Texas flipping it on Stewart's Foundation in this match race, this women's inclusive double A final at our 2021 U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta.
Texas at about 34 strokes per minute as they look towards the last 250 meters. Not quite there yet, but very soon crossing into that red buoy zone. A good second quarter, a good third quarter for Texas, and we'll see if they can put on a sprint in the last 250 meters. At this point, Stewart's Foundation will have to do something special to track down Texas Center when they decided it was time to go. They just kept moving, kept that momentum, and now it is Texas Center first across into the final 250 meters. The women's inclusive double final A, a national championship on the line. Texas moving and continuing to move.
All right. We see 200 meters left for Texas out in front of this women's inclusive double, and they've opened it up. It's a couple boat lengths of open water now for Texas in what was an incredibly fun to watch and close match race pretty much the whole way until we got to the last 500 meters as Texas continues to move away 15 strokes from the line to win the national championship in the women's inclusive double, a new event here at our U.S. Rowing Youth National Regatta. So a fresh trophy is going to be taken back to Austin, Texas with these two women and their coach and family as they cross the line and win the national championship in the women's inclusive double. It's Texas Center winning the gold, and it's Stewart's Foundation of Tampa, Florida that will win the silver medal as we conclude our A finals here on day 4 of our championships, and we move to a full slate of B finals.